All right, let's put this on a little bit increased speed. Okay, so first and foremost, sorry about the new layout. I'm actually just on vacation, but you know, I love working. No, but I actually enjoy doing this. So, yeah. So people have sent me this Trisha Paytas video, like a lot of people, surprisingly, and it's not even like that big of a video. It has about 16,000 views now, which I mean, like, is good. I'm not criticizing. I'm not like a huge content creator, but for the amount of demand I have to watch it, I'm surprised that like it's not bigger. You know. So this is from a content creator, called, I'm sorry, the layout's all weird, Mysterious. And people keep asking. I have a lot more female fans now that like me talking. Basically, I have a lot more female fans that just like when I talk shit about Trisha Paytas. Like, let's be honest here. You guys know, you guys pretend that you're like, oh, I really like Papa Gut's nuanced takes, but you just fucking, you just love hearing me talk shit about Trisha. So yeah, I heard Trisha did Treat Keemstar's podcast. I'm gonna take a look at that later. I haven't. They didn't release the episode yet, but we're gonna talk about that after. But let's get into this. I'm gonna play it on increased speed, hopefully, because you guys know how fast Trisha talks. I'm actually getting good at listening to her when she talks too fast. So let's try this. Gotta make sure everything's good here. My boobs are looking extra special today, so that's nice. You know, bad angle, I think. Got my milkers out. That's okay. Oh, I should probably be watching the video while, so this is a trigger warning. Their own opinions. Yeah, me too, guys. My opinions are all my own. My opinions are always right, because it's me talking.
Before we get into the intro, I want to take a second to thank one of my subscribers, Mimi's Art. She is the artist that is behind the beautiful drawings that you see on the screen. She created the perfect Mysterious for my videos, and I hope you guys love them as much as I do. All of her links will be in the description box. Go check her out. And again, thank you so much, Mimi, for working with me to create these for my channel. Now let's get into the video. Cool. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are starting a brand new series about the Queen of Scandals, Miss Trisha Paytas.
My mom put dish soap. My mother might have told a lie. My mom used to wash my mouth out with soap. I think that's called abuse now, but and it was gross, but I like, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, there's abuse in people's lives, like abuse, well, obviously, like, there's like abuse in people's lives, right? Like there's things that their parents did wrong that they shouldn't have done, but it doesn't mean that you were like abused, if that makes sense, right? It's like there are people, everybody can identify with forms of oppression, but it doesn't make you oppressed. You know, sometimes you just you grew up in a tougher generation, kind of a thing.
But before we get into the overview of the video, we need to talk about Trisha's pronouns real quick, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm disrespecting Trisha's pronouns. Just for clarification, Trisha has their
her,
pronouns
they, them.
listed as she, her, and they, them. I will be using all of Trisha's pronouns throughout this entire series.
That's going to be confusing.
So now that we got that cleared up, what is this series going to be about? We are going to be taking a deep look into some of the most damaging controversies that Trisha has been through. I personally think that Trisha is a very dangerous person that uses mental health and trauma as a shield to avoid backlash for the toxic behavior that they display online. Even though I do believe that Trisha does have both trauma and mental health issues, I don't believe everything that she displays online is a true version of her life. And you will...
Well, that's the trick of it though, right? So like Trisha totally has trauma. Nobody debates that. But like as somebody with trauma, like she goes out of her way to make excuses for all of her terrible behavior. Like Trisha, I don't think that her bad behavior comes from the fact that she has trauma. I think that the excuses for the bad behavior do, right? I know people that have like that are bipolar. I know people that like, you know, I know people who are bipolar and struggle with it and like have like adverse reactions, I suppose you'd say, but they don't double down on their shit. They take their medication consistently. And even if they have like a little blow up on somebody, they apologize very quickly after. They don't gaslight the fuck out of everybody and like try to, you know, ruin that person's life like that Trisha did to Ethan.
See why I believe that in this series. I do question some things with Trisha in this video, so all I ask is that you watch the entire video before making any snap judgments and just hear me out on what I have to say and the evidence that I present in this video. So what's in today's episode? We are going to be looking at Trisha's life before she got famous and how she got famous. I haven't seen a lot of channels focus on this.
Bro, Trisha's life, how she got famous, she wanted to be famous so bad that she did anything that it would take. That's a big problem. I don't know, like I feel like that has to be bad parenting one 101, when your kid will either sacrifice any moral value in order to like become famous, or they never had that moral value in the first place to become famous. Because if you're willing to do anything to be famous, like, you are kind of a loser, and that probably means your parents raised you very poorly, honestly.
As part of Trisha's life, but I feel it is really important to look at when it comes to Trisha because it makes you understand why she behaves the way she does online, why she lies so much, why she self-sabotages every single relationship, where the patterns come from, and why she's just so desperate for attention. We will be referring back to this video a lot in the upcoming episodes, so I highly suggest that you absorb as much information as possible. By the end of this video, you will have a clear understanding of how Trisha became the master manipulator that she is today. But before we get deep into the video, please make sure to hit—
Bro, it's crazy because I don't even think she's a master manipulator. Trisha's one of those people where, like, if like she's so very like easily, she's very clearly like very manipulative and shallow and like a bad person. But for people who will give her the benefit of the doubt, like nice people like Ethan, they are very masterfully manipulated. And that's the problem, is if like you give somebody the benefit of the doubt, if you give somebody like Trisha the benefit of the doubt, that's when they become very manipulative, because they know how to like push your buttons, and you're already giving them the benefit of the doubt. So even when they exhibit like red light behavior, I guess you'd call, or that's, you guys know what I'm saying, you kind of like gloss over and go like, okay, I understand, but I get it. I get that. It's like sometimes you need to not understand everybody's reasoning for everything. Like, it's a really nice quality to have of being very understanding, but you also have to stand up for yourself, because sometimes if you're always just like, oh, I understand why this person's doing that thing. It's like, we can understand, but like at the end of the day, like, I can understand why somebody might want to hit me, but I'm not going to let them, you know? You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like there's a lot of people out there who will allow themselves to get hit and go like, oh, I understand, but sometimes you have to stop understanding.
that like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on all post notifications so you don't miss the next episode of this series. Now, let's get started.
Oh, let me see how the video goes before I decide to subscribe.
Before we get deep into Trisha's childhood, I want to assure you guys all the information that I'm pulling about their upbringing is straight from Trisha. This information comes from YouTube videos that Trisha has uploaded, and we will be referencing clips to back up the things that I'm saying. A huge chunk of this information, though, is coming straight from Trisha's book that's titled The History of My Insanity. I feel this book is a great reference of everything I'm about ready to tell you, because Trisha said that she put her heart and soul into this book and was nothing but 100% honest. Check it out.
I don't know. I think it's a very just quick read, but also
imagine thinking Trisha actually meant those words. It's 100% honest. Nothing about Trisha is 100% honest.
I feel like there's a lot of information and content in here that is just real. And if you've ever wanted the real Trisha,
feels like a small book for your whole life story.
Everything, I mean, I'm not.
It's definitely too small for her, like, history of her insanity. Like, that's like a fucking Encyclopedia Botanica. Like, that's like a 26-part series. That book.
But honest in this book. And when I went to go write this book, I wanted nothing but honest, which is very hard for me.
I honestly feel early in Trisha's YouTube career, she was a lot more real and raw with their audience. It's really interesting to watch the change in them online, and you guys will be able to see that in this series. But for now, let's get to know Trisha a little better. Trisha K. Paytas was born on May 8th, 1988 in Riverside, California to Frank and Lena Paytas. Trisha has two siblings, an older brother named Nick and a younger half-sister named Callie. At the age of 3, Trisha's parents divorced. Trisha's mom, Lena, moved the kids to a small town in Illinois named Byron. This is where she spent most of her childhood. Their father, Frank, ended up going out to Illinois for a while, but couldn't find work, so he ended up moving back to California. This is where Trisha started to have abandonment issues, because she just didn't understand why her father wouldn't want to stay in Illinois close to his children.
Like everybody, my parents ended up divorcing, and my mom moved us back to, I guess, Illinois. Is this how this works? I don't know. There's Illinois. My dad, the story goes two ways. Either my dad moved back with us to Illinois and wouldn't look for work, so he moved back to California, or my dad says he moved back to Illinois, looked for a job, couldn't find it, and his only work was in California. Either way, I was like 3 when we were here, and my dad decided to stay in California, which is where my abandonment issues, I guess, began. Because why would my dad want to leave us when we were in Illinois? Why would he want to be in California?
Well, I think you should understand that now, right? Like, I get where she's coming from. My mom worked a lot. Like, my mom worked like 60-hour weeks, and she worked like nights and whatnot. So my family helped like watch me and whatnot. And I always was like sad that my mom did that, but I always understood that she needed to work. So it's interesting. It's just interesting because I feel like people somehow don't grasp that concept. And I was very young when I grasped the understanding of like my mother needs to work.
Trisha held grudges against her father for years because he decided to move back to California. She has even said that her and her brother had to go to therapy to deal with their abandonment issues. Put a pin in this because we will be talking about this later. At the age of 5, Trisha's mom married husband number 3, and Trisha's half-sister Callie was born. You guys may know Callie from Trisha's YouTube video. She is
hopefully we put some blame on this mother. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but if you've married 3 times, there's something wrong with you. I'm not trying to be a dickhead. You can be all upset if you want, but there is something very clearly wrong with you. You're not choosing the correct people. And like, I'm, it's just honest, man.
to collab with her sister.
I'm sorry for anybody out there, but like, unless like they die, if somebody dies, I get it. You know what I mean? But 3, I get 1 divorce. I understand having 1 divorce, But 2?
and they seem to get along great.
Collaboration, because nobody wants to collaborate with me, so I make my sister collaborate with me. And
Wow, she looks like the worst version of Britney Spears I've ever seen.
by the way, we can just get the comments out of the way. Yes, my sister is beautiful. I get it. She's gorgeous. There's no need to make fun of the way I look. Just based on she's gorgeous too. So
Like Trisha's not even an unattractive person, but she just like is not attractive here. Like who did her makeup? Like the makeup's not good. The forehead, you're accentuating your like imagine like I did my stream like this. That's the equivalent of how her makeup looks, is if I did the stream with my head like that. I look terrible as it is, but you get my point.
Even though Trisha and her sister get along great now, Trisha had resentment towards her sister for a very long time, 18 years in fact. Trisha would make faces at Callie's crib, and growing up, Trisha said that she made Callie play second fiddle to her.
Wow, that's what her sister grew up to look like? Well, I used to look more attractive than I do now too, so I guess I can't criticize.
Interesting about Trisha's
The mom's kind of attractive though.
book is she doesn't focus on Callie that much. There's very little information about their relationship outside of what I just told you. Trisha speaks really highly of her brother, but Callie is rarely mentioned. So I just found that interesting take with that.
I know for a fact that this is a picture from their OnlyFans, and I just think that it's weird that you haven't established a boundary of not doing porn with your sister, right? Like, there's something very, like, clearly there's something not right about the situation if you're doing porn with your sister. Honestly.
What you will. Also, at the age of 5, she started developing her love for acting and entertainment. There's a quote from Trisha's book, A History of My Insanity, that I want to read. I remember developing my love for entertainment and acting, or as my mom referred to it, as lying. I would make up crazy stories to tell my mom
She
about
loves that
finding
too.
Native American ghosts in our backyard, about me discovering I was a witch and I had magical spells. I guess Trisha's lying got so bad at this age, her mother would put
I wouldn't
dish
doubt
soap
any
in
of
her
those
mouth
things
for
are
every
true.
lie she told. Okay, I know what you guys are thinking. What kid doesn't tell lies, right, to their parents or use their imagination? It's harmless, right? Well, I would normally agree with you, but this is only the beginning of Trisha's lie.
Like most kids lying to their parents is like, I'm sick today, Mom. I don't want to go to school. Like that's typical lying from kids. Not like, hey, I'm seeing Native American ghosts in the back that want to kill me, and I'm zapping them away with my fucking Harry Potter wand.
And making up stories. So put a pin in this as well, because we will get back to this later. Trisha's mother worked 3 jobs to make ends meet. So like her father, Trisha didn't
Good
get
for
to see
her.
a lot of her mom. Her brother became more of a parental figure because he would be the one that watched Trisha and her sister.
the person who knows me through and through is a few people. It's my mom, because my mom has literally been there for like my whole life. We're always together. Like she basically she raised me on her own in Illinois, all that stuff like that. So my mom and my brother, they're like the 2 people who know everything about me, know all my secrets, all that stuff like that.
At the age of 10, her mom would go on to divorce Callie's father after he had an affair with her own sister. There was also times where he got physical with her mother. Trisha's brother even had to call the
Wait,
cops.
what? Wait. Play that back.
After he had an affair with her.
Everything about me,
Wait,
know all my secrets,
what?
all that stuff like that.
At the age of 10, her mom would go on to divorce Callie's father after he had an affair with her own sister.
With her sister?
Know all my secrets, all that stuff like that.
At the age of 10, her mom would go on to divorce Callie's father after he had an affair with her own sister.
Okay, I thought that he was fucking his own sister.
There was also times
Still
where he
fucked
got
up.
physical with her mother. Trisha's brother even had to
That's
call the
fucked
cops
up.
one time because he was getting physical with her mother in front of them.
Jesus
a few months later,
Christ.
Trisha's mother married husband number 4, a much older man.
So it was like her 4th husband, but like my 2nd stepdad, and he was
Jesus.
really old. There's wrinkles on him because he's so old. He was very old and very awkward and took his teeth out at night. Whatever, he didn't last very long. So my mom and him got divorced. Yeah, it was great.
Dude, fucking
Later in
5
life,
divorces,
Trisha asked
4
her mother why
divorces.
she married that guy, and her mother replied to her for financial reasons. And Trisha said, "It's a sad truth. I don't judge her. I appreciate her honesty." So
I mean, I would judge you a little bit, but I get it. But Jesus, like 5
Trisha and her
husbands?
siblings did not have much stability growing up. In elementary
No
school,
kidding.
Trisha really didn't have any friends. Trisha said that nobody wanted to play with her, so she just played by herself. She was also bullied a lot because of her appearance.
Very awkward. I had weird
Yeah,
body
true.
proportions, and I also had a little mustache. A really thick hair lip that everyone.
Yeah, it's true. Like honestly, I think that's something that's unique to women, especially growing up back then. Probably still an issue now is that like girls would get bullied much more for being like overweight than men.
Used to call me a man, so they'd say I had more rolls in a bakery, and then that I looked like a man, and had really weird hair and really bushy eyebrows. So yeah, that was me.
Jesus.
Growing up, it was pretty sucky.
Looks better than you do now, though, Trish.
The kids would also make fun of her because Trisha's father wasn't around. Trisha would tell even more lies to the kids
It does make sense as to why that she validates herself through like sexual engagements, though.
at school to try to fit in. The lies she told to the kids about her father ranged from he was a super rich producer in LA to a secret spy. She would also lie and tell them she had a twin sister
Those look like gamers, not secret spies. But one and the same, right?
named Trixie that lived with him in LA. She would say what she needed to say to make the kids like her. Even though both of her parents weren't a constant presence in in her life. Growing up, Trisha said they made it up to her by getting her anything and everything she could want. Both parents, especially her father, would spoil her with toys and shopping sprees. The first half of her childhood, neither of her parents had a lot of money, but they didn't care. They still bought her anything and everything she could ever want. This is where Trisha's shopping addiction starts to come.
Well, that's interesting. I have to explore like the understanding of that behavior, but like even though they're poor, they got her anything that she wanted, which means that they were probably very guilty for the way that they treated her or whatever, or the way that like that the situation in general. Was it the same way with her sister, her siblings though? I think that's a very good question, because if this was a Trisha unique thing, that means that Trisha like had, I guess, expressed her problems differently, and she was probably more attached to her parents. But do they do that as well with her siblings?
Men.
I don't know really what to do about a shopping addiction, but there's just no way of curing it. Like, I love shopping. It makes me so happy. And it's a little bit of a problem. What? This trash? Like, literally what? What do you do with that? Saw this collection, and again, like, I probably shouldn't be buying this. Like, I probably should be saving my money for, like, a rainy day or something. But the sun is shining today, so I thought, okay, let's buy some Dior.
In Trisha's book, she described what it meant to have her father buy anything she wanted.
You know what the last thing I bought myself was like concrete plate molds, which I really enjoyed. Before that, I bought power tools to fix my house. Like, I don't really spend a lot. I don't really get the whole shopping. I guess sometimes I do, but it's just...
It made me happy instantly and fixed any doubts or problems I had with my father, end quote. Trisha's mother would get furious when she saw all the toys Trisha would bring home after a visit with her father. Trisha's mother would go on to tell her the only reason he was doing it was because he felt guilty for leaving her. To no surprise, Trisha took this as a life lesson from her mother.
Okay, yeah,
said,
no,
quote,
before I mentioned the guiltness, but I think that there's a factor here that we're not considering, and that's the clearly there were issues between Trisha's dad and Trisha's mom. I wouldn't doubt it if the dad was like felt guilty, of course, but also if he was just buying gifts to try to outcompete the mom, because divorced parents can be real pieces of shit and do stuff like that. And so what, and I actually would like lean towards that being a big factor, and that might have really made things exponentially worse, honestly, because if you're like, oh, I'm gonna get you anything you want, and they say they're doing it because they feel guilty, but like a part of it's like they're really doing it because they want to outcompete, and then the parents are just going to continuously go back and forth and be very petty with each other, because a lot of parents that like engage in the pettiness will try to talk shit about the other parent in some capacity. Very toxic for the kids. My mother didn't talk about my father till I was like 18 or 19, and I asked her specifically about my father.
I make people feel guilty. I get things. Awesome. End quote. I want you guys to remember this quote because I think Trisha lives her life by this mindset. Remember at the beginning where I told you, I said I think Trisha uses trauma and mental health as a shield? Well, This is why they constantly use this tactic.
Well, this isn't even just a shield. This is a sword, right? If I make people guilty, I think I get things. That's awesome. So that's a sword. That's weaponizing the mental health of other people. So making people guilty, they'll do things for you. And then when you get backlash for making them feel guilty, you gaslight the fuck out of them and be like, well, I have mental problems. I can't believe like I have like that. You can't be mad at me because of this. And like, it's really, she has like this suit of armor that's kept her up for so long.
Because it makes people feel sorry for her and guilty for holding her accountable to her own actions. So definitely put a pin in this because we will talk about it later. At the age of 10, Trisha dreamed of being a child star. She also hoped that she could move back to California to live with her dad full time. But unfortunately, Trisha's time was split between her two parents. Every single Easter, summer, and Christmas, her and her brother Nick would fly out to California to spend time with their father. At this age, her father was just starting to develop his business while working 19 hours a day. His money was mostly tied up into the business, so he lived off credit cards, but that didn't stop him from spoiling both of his kids rotten. They would go to amusement parks, go look at Christmas lights and limousines, went shopping in toy stores all the time, and their dad also let them.
Oh, but this isn't the dad of her sister. Her sister's a half sister, right? Interesting. Okay. I wonder how the brother is as a person.
Fast food and donuts whenever they wanted. What's interesting about Trisha's parents is they seem like they're the total opposite of each other. Trisha's mom would bring guys around them all the time and had been married 4 times by the time Trisha was 10. Whereas her father, Frank, was quite the opposite. He was always so careful about the women he would introduce to Trisha and Nick. In fact,
so far the dad seems to be a much better person.
His divorce.
And that doesn't mean that he was there for the kids as much as he could. Well, you know what? It's hard to say. We don't have any specifics on it, or I don't know the specifics, but men tend to not get custody. It's one of the shitty things about it. Men tend to not get custody of their children, partially because, like, you know, usually the court system is designed more for the favor of women to raise their children, which I understand. But also part of it too is like men traditionally usually don't want the kid. You know, divorces typically happen like somewhat early. A lot of times, like, dads can be assholes. It's just, or maybe that's just my bias, but.
From Lena, he only introduced Trisha and Nick to 2 girlfriends in a span of 7 years. Before I move on to the beginning of middle school, I want to give you guys a heads up. This is where things start to get fuzzy with Trisha's story about her life. If you only know about Trisha's life from frenemies, then just know everything I'm about to tell you won't match up with what she has said on frenemies. The thing is, Trish has said the same stories about her life over the past 10 years. But once frenemies started, Trish started to change up her story. I don't know if she is just now comfortable with speaking about certain things that happened in her life, or if this is like a middle school thing where she felt like she needed to make up stories and lie to get attention, or if it's just a mixture of those two things. So I don't want you guys to think I'm just pulling this information from my ass or lying about their life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue telling Trisha's story based on her book and the older YouTube videos, because I still feel she is being genuine. But when it comes to the parts of her story that has recently changed, I'm going to show you what Trisha is saying today, and I want you guys to make up your own mind about it. It's just so hard to know what reality is with Trisha because they are constantly making up stories and lying. So I highly encourage you guys to look at this stuff side by side and come to your own conclusions about it. I do have some of my own opinions about certain things, but I will make that crystal clear when I am giving my opinion on it. But for everything else, I highly encourage you guys to look at the situation for yourself and decide based on what I'm presenting in this video. Okay, so let's get back to it. Fast forward to the start of 6th grade, Byron Middle School, age 12. The bullying was getting worse and Trisha became very insecure about herself. It all started when they had to swim in gym class. Trish said, quote, "I remember walking out in my one-piecer and everyone snorting, making piggy noises. I was so confused. My weight wasn't an issue in my mind at the time. I was about 5 feet tall and I distinctly remember weighing 100 pounds. I didn't think that was big."
I've talked about this in numerous videos. I was never attractive.
It probably was like somewhat big, especially, but you have to understand that back then, like, being fat is much more normalized now, and I'm like Trisha's age. I'm 31, so it's very different. But like I said, women get more shit got more shit back then. And in general, sort of fat people got more shit because it wasn't as normalized.
In school, I was never in a clique. I had gone to the same school for the first 9 years of my education, so up until I was a freshman. And I got really bad my freshman year.
I do want to say another thing though. Like, I know that she's overweight. She was overweight, and it definitely hurt her when it came to relationships. But we also, like, at the same time, all this is coinciding. So we have an individual who is rather manipulative that tries to guilt trip people into giving her things. On top of the fact that she does have like image issues, and that people already don't have like a positive like sense of her at school because she's overweight, which means she probably had a there's so much here, right? So this is like, it's so relatable to her current relationship. People tend to not want to be around Trisha. Back then it's probably because of her weight. Now it's probably because they know her and they think she's shitty. So she'll get into relationships with people that are actually give her a chance because they feel sorry for her, like Ethan, or probably people at the middle school. And then she'll just burn through the relationship and sabotage it. Partially probably because she feels that person's not going to like her anyway. So there's probably a self-fulfilling prophecy there. But also partially is part of it's probably because she just likes to create transactional relationships and siphon them dry of any resource that she wants, which it could be like pity, or like attraction, like sexual attraction, etc., etc. And that she's just kind of a shitty person to be around. So there's probably all that's probably working together. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. Trisha, it's very interesting.
Middle school was really tough for me. My mom and I were in the principal's office like all the time, having to deal with girls, harassing me and making fun of me, especially because we had swimming as part of PE, and I know I would get made fun of a ton in PE class for, the way my body shape wasn't a swimsuit, to having pubic hair early in the locker room, and girls would be really nasty, and I couldn't even imagine dealing with that now with camera phones and stuff. I could imagine it could just be a ton times worse.
Now keep in mind, Trisha's book heavily focuses on gym class and how she constantly was bullied in her gym class. This is where I started noticing a change in her story. According to her book, she wore a one-piece swimsuit because kids made fun of her body, but on April 13th, 2021, Trisha uploaded a video titled Female Wrestling. In this video, she makes completely different claims about her bathing suit. Check it out.
I was the only girl not allowed to wear a two-piece when we do our 2-week swim class courses because of my boobs. I was told to put on shorts over my swimsuit because you could see pubic hair through my swimsuit at 11.
But that's not all. In the same
Wait, that's weird. Like, maybe that's true, but I feel like, why would you not say that in the first place about your gym? Like, why would you change the story from like, I wore a two-piece because I was like self-conscious with my body, which makes more sense, to turning it into like, dude, I actually believe that she's lying in the second part. I think that she updated it to lie because we have a lot of conversations now about like sexualization and like what to wear with people in general, and I think that she's utilizing that current rhetoric and applying it to her past to make herself make other people feel guilty and feel bad for her.
Video. Trisha also says she was never bullied in school and that the main problem in school was classmates and teachers constantly sexualizing her. Check it out.
I used to wear like 3 sports bras. So when I was running, the boys in my class wouldn't, say that I was a distraction. And I would get in trouble for it. And I would get in trouble for it. And it really, really, really sucked. And I changed 4 high schools. Because I wasn't bullied. I wasn't like a nerd or people were mean to me, but it was constantly that.
Oh, but wait.
Bro, that makes no sense to me. So wait, that's ridiculous. She's lying. She's actively changed her rhetoric to match the rhetoric of like what's acceptable on like TikTok and Twitter, right? So it's like, oh, I was so overly sexual. That's the thing right now is over sexualization. I was overly sexualized, like I was a victim. But like it's much more likely that she was a fat kid that nobody liked. than she was being sexualized. Honestly.
Wait, there is more. About 1 month later, on May 18th, Trisha and Ethan were on Frenemies responding to Mike Milak about how Trisha and Ethan were bullies online. Mike made a statement saying Trisha knows what it feels like to be bullied because she was bullied in school. Mike said it so confidently because this is what Trisha has told everyone, this same story since she started YouTube. But in this podcast, she said she was never bullied in school, just like she did in the wrestling video, and also straight up lied and said that she never stated publicly or to anyone that she was bullied in school. Check it out.
And I wasn't getting bullied. I was getting fucked by my teachers, Mike. So I was a little more than you think.
You were getting bullied.
I was like,
That's so funny.
I'm pretty sure I was getting an R word by my teachers, and the principal didn't believe me, and I had
Dude,
to
you
endure it every
gotta love what a dumb is. He's like, you were bullied, you piece of shit. You
Dude, this is so weird. So first of all, this is what gaslighting is. It's just as insane. She's literally just lying. She has fucking evil eyes here. Look at this. She's evil fucking eyes here. She knows she's being evil. This is an incredible thing. So we have Trisha here actively, like, first of all, lying about not being bullied, because I guarantee you that she was bullied. The original stuff probably is more, true to her because she's not pandering to an audience. She's just speaking freely. Now that she's been like canceled and is uninteresting, she's pandering to an audience and forcing these scenarios so that like Twitter and TikTok will like her because, sexual or being overly sexualized and like, blah, blah, blah. The rape stuff is hard to make a pass on because like I wouldn't doubt that she has trauma, and it makes sense that she might not bring it up in past videos about her experiences. But then at the same time, the narrative goes from I was really bullied to like I was being sexually assaulted by my teachers. And I believe that she was bullied and maybe she was assaulted by the teachers. But it's hard to swallow with how much of a liar she is. What I find even more interesting, though, is that Ethan is hyping her up through her lie. And he's positively reinforcing her very negative behavior. And this is a huge problem. And this makes Ethan kind of like a shitty person. And maybe he's not. I don't think he's doing. I want to think he's doing it on purpose. I don't know why. But like, that's not fair, even though I can't prove that. I'd like to think. I don't know. For some reason, I get that. But no, I can't go with that narrative. He probably doesn't know. He probably is just believing her. That's where the issue is. It's like to believe anything that Trisha says on fucking face value because she lies constantly. But it's very interesting. He's positively reinforcing her lie. And you could see that she's eating up the reinforcement here.
had it coming.
Because they're the people that were bullied. They're the people that were bullied. Like Trisha was bullied.
What is he basing that off of?
Because I'm fat. I don't know.
What the fuck?
I definitely was, and I definitely.
I love how when it comes to me, he's like, he was bullied, but he says it like a fact. Like Trisha, she was bullied. Ethan, come on, you know he was probably bullied.
I literally never said that ever.
That's
I
crazy.
just like
Well, the only
myself in 2005. That's when I banned in 2005 because it's the most trauma of my life because teachers wouldn't leave me alone and they come to my house and power me.
I just think I'm sorry. That's so traumatic, but I think it's hilarious that he calls that bullying.
Is that what he's referring to?
I don't know what else it could
I think
be.
he doesn't know. I think he just
It's
knows.
just
I don't
so
know.
funny how off he is.
Like I said, use your own judgment and come to your own conclusions on what the truth is. I just find it so odd to change a story and lie.
The truth is
about
she's a
things that have
liar.
been clearly stated online, and she knows
By
this
her.
stuff-
By her.
This stuff. You guys, she wrote an entire book about how she was bullied in school and posted multiple YouTube videos stating the exact same things.
I was bullied all through starting at grade school.
Bro, you know it's so crazy. Every single time I watch something about Trisha, I somehow learned to hate her more. I just like I didn't think that she could be any worse of a person, but we're just finding out she lies about everything.
Through middle school, through high school. I went to 4 different high schools because of bullying, because kids were so mean and cruel and vicious to me. Like, it got really bad. Back when I used to get bullied in like real life before YouTube and all that stuff, like when I was a lot younger and more insecure, you know, the best thing that I would do for myself is focus on my goals. Like, if people try to bring me down, I was like, okay, they're already deterring from their dreams by just wasting energy on me. Instead of like trying to fight back or wasting energy worrying about it, I would put my energy into what I knew I wanted to do.
She had to have been bullied because like she specifically, because I'm questioning my belief, but she specifically said something that like sticks out to me. And that like it's so genuine. And it was that like, oh, I was bullied a lot for being fat and I don't understand because I didn't think I was that fat. There's no way that Trisha is intelligent enough to make that statement as a manipulative statement. And so, because that is such a true thing. It's like, I was a thing and people criticized me for that thing and I didn't know that I was that thing. Like, that's such an innocent perspective to be like, I was bullied for being fat, but I didn't even think I was fat, because there's an additional layer of like frustration and hysteria. Not only was she like a little overweight, but she didn't think that she was like that overweight. And so as a child, imagine being bullied for your weight and just not thinking you're overweight and then getting so upset that like, I was like, I'm not overweight though. Like, imagine somebody just called you like fucking idiot and stupid all the time, but like you were a pretty smart person. That would upset you more than being dumb and getting criticized for being dumb. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that she's that intelligent to be like that much of a manipulative person. Because like she is manipulative, but she's not intelligent. And I don't think that, like, that's just a subtle detail. There's no way that she threw that in.
Do, which was
no way that's a
perform,
lie.
entertain, and get to LA.
But now, according to Trisha, none of that happened. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But let's get back to Trisha's story. The bullying didn't stop there. One day in homeroom, a classmate asked the teacher, quote, "Why is Trisha allowed in the classroom? She's too fat and she should be with the pigs outside," end quote. Before the teacher could say anything, the entire classroom started laughing at her. This hurt Trisha a great deal, and they were so embarrassed. The bullying went on her entire 6th grade year.
Middle school was another situation of just mean girls. Like, there's a lot of name calling, a lot of stuff being stolen. Just really bad bullying, where they would have the whole school against me, and that sucked. My mom would have to come in so many times, and the principal would do very little. So it was really bad. I got bullied a lot in middle school, actually. Like, I tried to not make it seem like I did, but I did. Everything. Gym class running, people would make fun of my thighs, or the chafing, or that I couldn't do sit-ups, or that I couldn't pass the presidential fitness test. Like, it was crazy, and I was not the most unfit, ugliest person in the world. It was just a weird thing.
Trisha
Fuck the president, by the way, for making us do that fitness test. Am I right, guys?
tried so many things to fit in. For example, there was a lip sync contest that year. She had everything planned perfectly. She was going as her idol, Britney Spears, in a red latex jumpsuit. She even got a couple girls
You could tell that her idol is Britney at this point based on her makeup.
from her school to be her backup singers. And the best part of it all, she was able to get her dad to pay for a limo to drive Trisha and her backup singers to the event so everyone could see them arrive in a big fancy limo. Trisha felt like a superstar that she desperately wanted to be. Everyone seemed to have so much fun at the school contest, including Trisha. Nobody said
Who's that,
anything
Jay-Z? Holy shit.
to her, and Trisha saw it as a success until the following Monday. That's when everyone started to make fun of her by saying how gross she was in her red latex suit and how awful her dancing was. It just ruined that moment for her.
Jesus
Trish
Christ.
idolized Britney Spears since middle school. Trisha said, quote, "She was everything I wanted to be, young, beautiful, blonde, and adored by millions. She was like a living, breathing doll. I just wanted to be like her." Trisha copied and idolized Britney all through high school. I think Trish still idolizes Britney today and
Wait, this is insane to me.
strives to be at her level of success.
Wait, so Britney, I've been looking into Britney because of the Free Britney stuff. Britney Spears is a very interesting person because Britney Spears at a very young age was hypersexualized and like destroyed by the media for being like loose because she broke up with Justin Timberlake. Like ridiculous shit. And then basically abused by the paparazzi to such an extent that she had a legitimate fucking mental breakdown. Trisha trying to emulate a young person that sexualizes themselves is very interesting because it seems like there's this evolution from like a young, sweet, innocent kid that wanted to be famous to this overly sexualized porn star. That's what Trisha is now. Starfish more because, you know, no, but it's very interesting. Like she wanted to be like all of her idols mixed together. So like, she wanted to be Britney Spears so bad in this case. And like she's emulating it, and she's emulating like the wrong stuff because she can't emulate the talent, honestly. So she can't emulate like the good singing or any of that. So she's or the innocence, honestly, that Britney Spears had. So she's emulating the over sexualization, the destruction of that innocence. This is a very interesting documentary.
Into my eyes, because I thought lining up the eyes was everything. I thought that's the only thing Britney Spears ever did, so that's all I ever did. But I did love me a good brow highlight, because once again, I saw Britney highlight her brow, so I did not appreciate other colors on there. I packed on that silver. I was like, this is bougie makeup, and I'm a pop star. I am Britney Spears in high school. Yes!
7th grade came, and Trisha decided to try out for cheerleading. She wanted to be just like Kelly Kapowski on Saved by the Bell because Kelly was a cheerleader, beautiful and popular. But unfortunately, she didn't make the team. Trisha was so done with trying to fit in with the girls at this point because everything she tried just kept backfiring on her. A lot of her frustration was from the constant bullying in gym class. The popular girls would talk about how fat Trisha's legs were. Trisha had said, quote, "They all wear shorts called Sophie's, but I wear spandex because Sophie's rode up on me. Things got..."
I wonder if she was okay with being friends with unpopular people. Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's terrible to say, but, like, if she was being bullied by the popular people, you would go to the unpopular people. Do you think that she hated the unpopular people because they weren't popular? Because it seemed like Trisha has an obsession with being popular and famous and in the positive light of the public eye. So it's entirely possible that she would like reject the non-popular people, like I'm too good for you, even though she wasn't, which led to her inability to like really make friends because she has such bizarrely high standards in quotes of people. And she's like, I'm only gonna be friends with popular people. Popular people are fucking losers. Okay, who fucking cares about popular people? But that's all she wanted to associate with. She wanted to associate with people who were considered famous in some capacity.
Got so bad in gym class, she ended up convincing her dad's friend, who was a doctor, to write a note to get her out of gym class. So that
one of my guys said, one time a coach looked at me while addressing the fitness class and said, some of you guys really really need this class. Yeah, gym teachers are fucking worthless anyway. Like, what's a qualification to be a gym teacher? You really just have to be like addicted to cigarettes and like an honest fucking loser from high school that used to be popular, but like nobody likes anymore. That's what it takes. It takes like you having to be like a kind of a loser, and you're just like stuck in the past, and you like think you're a kid, and that's why usually it's the gym teachers that end up predatorizing the children.
She could avoid running laps and being seen in shorts. Trisha once again has reached a doctor to Rex because Sophie's wrote up on me. Things got so bad in gym class, she ended up convincing her dad's friend, who was a doctor, to write a note to get her out of gym class so that she could avoid running laps and being seen in shorts. Trisha once again has recently changed the story. It is now the complete opposite of her book, because in her book she specifically said it was her choice with the shorts because the Sophie shorts wrote up on her. But now they are claiming that the teachers forced her to wear spandex shorts. She couldn't wear the Sophies like the other girls because of her being overly by teachers and classmates.
Dude, she's a lie. She has to be lying.
I was the only female when we would be in gym class. All the other girls got to wear short little softy shorts, and when I would wear them, I was told to go put on some spandex shorts, like the biker shorts underneath that are tight on your skin, or leggings. When I was 8 years old, I was in gym class the only person that had to wear spandex shorts. Everyone else had to wear softies, and that was like pretty much my entire career because I had chafing or whatever, or you could see part of my like thighs, which people were like, oh my god, her butt is showing.
Some of the stuff is just so.
Wait, what the chafing? Hold on.
I had chafing or whatever, or you could is in gym class the only person that had to wear spandex shorts. Everyone else had to wear softies, and that was like pretty much my entire career because I had chafing or whatever, or you could see part of my
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. So like, I guarantee you that she's lying, and the reason that I say that is because the gym teacher wouldn't give a fuck about her chafing. So her argument's like, they made me wear spandex because I was chafing. Because of the chafe. Why would they care if you're chafing? Like, honestly, you think gym teachers are pieces of shit? You think that they're like, Trisha, you're chafing, I'm not gonna let you wear the cloth shirt. No, you changed because you were chafing. Now you're trying to make this like this new narrative that you're being overly sexualized. It's insane.
like thighs, which people were like, oh my god, her butt is showing.
Some of the stuff is just so minor to me, and some of it is a lot more serious. The thing with Trisha is she really is like a pathological liar. That's why it's so
she's
hard
not
to tell
like
what is reality
she's
with her.
fucking
You know that
is
pen
one.
I told you to remember about the lying? Well, this is a huge reason I told you to pin it, because Trisha never stopped making up stories or taking the truth and twisting it into something else. I am just more inclined to believe her book. It just feels like a realistic version of her life, but the discrepancies just keep going, you guys. We are only getting started. The summer of Trisha's 7th grade year, husband number 4 moved out and then moved back in and then moved out for a second time all in one summer. This guy, you guys, was a piece of work. He was a violent alcoholic, and because Trisha and her brother would go spend the summers with their dad, it was just...
Dude, that guy spilled like all of the alcohol outside of the fucking glass. Like, what a loser.
Her mom and her little sister that was home with this man. Trisha would worry that he would harm her mother or sister while she was in California. Trisha's mom, Lena, even told her multiple times that she was absolutely terrified of this man. That's a heavy worry to carry on someone when you're only in 7th grade. That summer he left, and Trisha's mom promised her that he was gone for good. But the promise didn't last long, because after a failed attempt to get back with Trisha's father, her mom went right back to her abusive husband number 4, shortly after Trisha started the 8th grade. Trisha's brother Nick later confessed to
This person's like really censoring the fucking like every potentially bad word. Abusive.
Trisha that he felt abandoned by their mother in a way, because he felt like he wasn't good enough to be the man of the house, even though he took care of Trisha and Kelly while Lena worked 3 to 4 jobs. He didn't understand why he wasn't good enough for their mother to stop the cycle of bad relationships. Trisha and her brother were always on the same page.
That's very interesting. It's interesting that like he tried to take on like the almost and like this almost like emotionally incestuous relationship of trying to be the father figure of the house. And like, you know, the emotional incestuous aspect would be if the mother was like trying to use, you know, actually it's not emotionally incestuous. That's like, well, because the mom is very clearly trying to engage in other relationships. But it's interesting that he felt he needed to take the role on of like the father or the protector of the household. But Trisha took the role on of like the child. I know she is the child, but like almost an exaggerated version, like gaslight, be very guilt tripping people into getting positive things. And I wonder how much Trisha fed off of her brother as like a pseudo father figure.
They were so close to each other. They traveled together for every visit to their father's house. They had a special kind of bond with each other, and Nick knew everything about Trisha, and Trisha knew everything about Nick.
Hey everyone, it is
I
YouTube
wonder if they honestly slept together. I'm not trying to be an asshole.
time with my family and my brother. I want to introduce my brother Nick, who thinks he's no, he's not.
8th grade was upon Trisha, and let me tell you what, Trisha was determined to fit in and get attention. Trisha said, quote, "This was the year of sex bomb Trish. I wore heavy eyeliner, cheetah print pants, different colored hair, and my mom's water balls. I wanted attention, and I was going the year of sex bomb Trisha, and let me tell you what."
Family and my brother. I want to introduce my brother Nick, who thinks he's no, he's not.
8th grade was upon Trisha, and let me tell you what.
8th grade, she said this? 8th grade was when she said she wanted to be sex bomb Trish. Yeah, she's emulating the sexualization of like Britney
Different
Spears.
colored hair and my mom's water balls. I wanted attention, and I was going to get it.
The fuck is a
Trisha
water
started
bra?
to become more comfortable with herself and her body at this age, and she was going to use it to her advantage.
The favorite thing about puberty was my boobs. I fully embraced them once I got to middle school. It was weird. I started getting like attention from teachers, which is like weird, I know, and like it's a weird thing. I mean,
Wait,
the favorite thing about puberty was my boobs. I fully embraced them once I got to middle school. It was weird. I started getting like attention from teachers, which is like weird, I know, and like it's
wait. I need to play that slower because this is so very telling. These small things, and she talks so fast.
I fully embraced him once I got to
use it to her advantage.
my favorite thing about puberty was my boobs. I fully embraced them once I got to middle school. It was weird. I started getting like attention from teachers, which is like weird, I know, and like it's a weird thing. I mean, you just start getting this attention, and I liked the attention, so it was like
That's really fucked. So she was getting attention from, so like that I could believe. I could believe that like she would this because it makes so much sense. Because she mentioned being assaulted. I would not. I actually don't doubt that she was assaulted by the teacher. I just only believe past Trisha because she seems like a more honest person. So the narrative is that she was overweight and unattractive to like the boys and even like the girls. So the people in general in her grade, right? And then she grew up a little bit. She started sexualizing herself more, and then she started hitting puberty and like filling in. And then teachers started to notice her. So now she was getting attention from adults, which again, Ethan positively reinforces her bad behavior of lying and being manipulative on frenemies. Teachers are positively reinforcing Trisha over-sexualizing herself. I don't doubt that she was sexually assaulted by a teacher. This is fucked.
weird teachers and just like other people in general that were just like high schoolers in the play Just Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and like the other high schoolers that were in the show.
And to her perspective, the teachers are probably better because, they're adults. They're better. They're cooler.
It was like a high school production were like hitting on me. It was like weird, but I loved the attention. I mean, that's not like for everyone. I loved the attention. That was my personal favorite. Yes, my personal favorite thing.
Jesus
That's my personal favorite thing.
Christ.
It was a new year and a new Trisha. She knew what her purpose was, and that was performing and getting attention. But now Trisha is claiming that she never wanted the attention. Look, I just don't understand it. Trisha claimed for years that she was pretty
Yeah, and it's fucked up. See, that's a hard. I actually do appreciate this content creator a lot. Because that's a hard position to take and defend, especially in like in the limelight now. And like I'm actually gonna like and subscribe. It's a big deal to me. So in the current narrative, saying something like that, like Trisha, like wanted the attention, so she engaged in the inappropriate behavior, is going to sound like victim blaming to children on TikTok and Twitter. But it's not. It's the acknowledgement that like teachers seem to be, to an extent, predatorizing her or noticing her in some capacity. And she liked it, so she engaged in it. Now she's flipping the narrative to like she never wanted to be sexualized. And the teachers are all disgusting, and they're still disgusting. And this girl's like, well, no, you said you enjoyed the attention. And so like she actively sought out the inappropriate attention. And it's inappropriate for her and the teacher, more for the teacher, because they're an adult that knows better. But like it's a hard position to defend. It's an easy position to defend with anybody with a realistic fucking brain. But like a lot of people don't want to hear the truth or acknowledge the realities and the horrors of the world. Most time people just want to like go with whatever is socially palatable.
much invisible in school. She was,
and the reason is because those people are disconnected from the reality of like these very intense, nuanced situations because they haven't experienced those things, and they're desperately trying to over-identify with that. So there's a lot of kids that are trying to over-identify with like, oh, I'm being sexualized, but you're not. Like if you were being sexualized, you would feel very upset with yourself. Not because you deserve to, but because like you're usually being preyed on in some capacity. But you have a lot of people who are overly identifying with particular things that are going on, like some kind of trauma in their life, even if it's never happened. And then they don't understand what it's like to experience trauma. So they will just assign particular values to trauma that don't exist. And you know that's how you know that those aren't the people. And then it's a much smaller minority of people who can identify with the trauma, but like they don't want to speak out because it's a traumatic experience. And so the truth doesn't get out there.
bullied, and now it's like a complete 180 on her entire life. And to be quite honest, I don't know what the fucking truth is. I would hope that she wouldn't lie about serious things such as SA as a minor, but I really don't understand why she feels the need to rewrite her entire childhood, because that is what she has done over the past 6 months. When Trisha lies, her story constantly changes on things, but the stories of her being bullied and having to switch high schools 4 times because of bullying, all of that has been the same story across multiple YouTube videos and an entire book. So you guys, I'm just confused, which is why I'm showing you everything, because to be quite honest, I don't really know what to believe with Trisha. I really don't. But check out this clip.
She was
and you'll see
bullied.
what
I
mean.
believe that.
I just kept gaining weight because I thought it would turn men off for me. And I still feel that way because as much as I capitalized and made money.
See, look at this. See, I would constantly gain weight so that like men would like be attracted to me. No, you didn't. She never did that. She validates herself off of men wanting to fuck her. That's a truth. And it's the reason why she is so desperate she loves Ethan. She wants to fuck Ethan. You could see it in her eyes. You could see it in her interactions. And she wants that because he won't fuck her and won't want to date her. And that's her validating point. She wants people to find her attractive. She's overweight because she has an eating problem, because like she's depressed, probably because nobody actually loves her. And so like it's total bullshit. It's total bullshit that she gained weight to be unattractive. That's another shallow talking point, right? So like when somebody's sexually assaulted, sometimes what they'll do is they'll make themselves less attractive to people, and it definitely can manifest in gaining weight, 100%. But those people who are trying to be overweight to seem less attractive usually don't try to look attractive, and she constantly tries to look attractive. Right? Look here. Wow. She's covered in makeup. You see, covered. You know, she's not attractive in any of these slides, but she wants to be. She wants to be fuckable. She's lying through her teeth. She's just taking, like, she doesn't experience she's as trauma, but she constantly does this thing where she takes on other trauma that's not hers and pretends to have that trauma. Remember when she said she had dissociative identity disorder and that she was trans? Yeah. Bullshit liar.
Money and profited off and I own it, because when I'm in control of it, I love it. And I think it's a beautiful, powerful thing. But when I'm not,
and you notice that like she does this new thing where she's very performative. When she talks about serious topics, she doesn't put makeup on. She puts her hair up in a horrible bun and she dresses like shit intentionally. It's an intentional thing because, like, from a very shallow perspective, you look at her and you go like, oh, she's not all dressed up. This is a serious video. I call it the Bernie Sanders effect. Look at Bernie Sanders when he was like, anytime he's running, he has like fucked up hair. He's just wearing a suit, like no makeup on. He looks like kind of like shit. But he comes off as very genuine because he speaks genuinely and he looks genuine. Then you look at Hillary Clinton or somebody who doesn't speak particularly, like, very genuinely, and then looks completely made up, spends tons of money on like makeup. They're like, this is like the Bernie effect, and she's embracing it. I guarantee you she's doing it on purpose. It's a show. She knows what she needs to do to look more genuine or to have a particular tone or feel to a video.
in control of it, it really makes me feel some type of way. And I think that's what started my gender identity issues, because I never looked at myself as I never wanted big boobs when I was a kid. I went and did like a full blown caricature of myself. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have the biggest boob, I'm gonna have the biggest everything, biggest lips and stuff like that. Because that was the hole I was put in my entire life. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna, this is what I have to capitalize on, I guess, you know?
No, it seems like she liked having big boobs. She liked the positive attention from the teachers, even though the teachers are scumbag fucks. And now she's lying.
I never talked to boys my own age, never dated boys my own age, never asked out with boys, never had a boyfriend in high school, middle school, nothing. And I think it's a mixture of things.
I think that it's because those boys never found her attractive, but the older people did, because they saw a young, vulnerable girl who nobody found attractive, but like they thought she was kind of attractive, and they knew she was desperate, and that she would do anything that they wanted, so they preyed on her. But let's see what she decides to say.
When I was really shut off, when I was very overdeveloped, and two, I'm sure a lot of people knew what was going on with me, and being as a minor, and
So she said
from people in the community and stuff like that. I think people knew, and I think a lot of people put the blame and shame on me because, you know, my mom worked 4 jobs, and I don't know, literally I didn't even dress sexy. I had like 4 outfits, and I wore water bra sometimes to even out my boobs, and people just took that as like that was me being whatever, and it really sucked.
Look, this part of Trisha's life shaped them into the person that they are today, and
it's so, I'm sorry for stopping so much, but it's like difficult to say that she's wrong, because then you look like the invalidating asshole. But that's the thing. Trisha like has an issue. She has mental health problems. She has trauma. But she doesn't have every mental health problem, and she doesn't have every trauma. And what she does is she says she has a trauma or mental health issue that she doesn't have. And then when you press her on it, she goes, but I have this trauma and this mental health issue. And now I'm just going to say this is what I was talking about and lie through my teeth. And people will like, oh, Trish, I feel bad for you. And you're the victim. So the other person's the aggressor.
this part of Trisha's story was
It's
heavily
the game.
focused on in Trisha's book and so many YouTube videos, which is why I have to show you both sides of this and talk about it. My first thought about this whole situation is if Trisha was just now comfortable with speaking about certain things that happened to her in her childhood, then why does she feel the need to rewrite the part about the bullying? I don't understand that, because I'm just going to say right now, I think she's straight up lying in the present time about never being bullied. And I think she's lying in the present time about
100%.
being overly in school, because there is no way she has been able to keep a consistent story over the past 10 years if it was all a lie.
She's not that smart.
Anyways,
Yeah, you're
let's
right.
get back to Trisha's 8th grade year. We were talking about how Trisha was determined
She's
to
not
get
that smart. You can tell that she's not smart because she's very poorly rewriting her history. If she wanted to, she could sit down and she could develop the narrative of like, oh, it was bullying, but it was also because of my over sexualization, or like, oh, because, you know, whatever bullshit narrative she's pushing. But she's not doing that because she's dumb.
attention.
That's why there's
So
so
what
many
did
holes
Trisha
in
do
her
to get
story.
more attention? She lied. Trisha lied about getting plastic surgery. She made up stories about being extras in movies like Home Alone 2 and The Big Green, and she made up stories about meeting different celebrities. One celebrity she didn't have to lie about was Donny Osmond. Trisha's dad splurged for 2 meet and greet passes. Trisha didn't waste this opportunity to brag about it at her school. When she met Donny, she was able to get a picture with just the 2 of them. Trisha made about 10 copies of that picture and showed them off everywhere at school. She put it on her notebooks, taped it in her locker, put it inside her pencil cases so that
Jesus.
everybody could see she met a celebrity. Even
This shows to me that she is desperate for attention. She desperately wants people to think she's cool. And since I read Trisha as like kind of a bad person based on like circumstances that people didn't want to be around. And so she was like, but look at me, I'm cool, right? Like Trisha's probably is the person that has the attitude of a popular person, but like the body, sorry to be rude, of an unpopular person. And instead of humbling herself and just like hang out with the unpopular kids, which are cooler anyway, she like probably acts like a bitch and like pushes away people who would want to be her friend. It makes perfect sense because they're not cool enough. Like she's desperate to be seen as cool. Was Donny Osmond cool back then?
Even though she was being honest about meeting him, Trisha still turned it into a lie to make the story more interesting. She told her classmates that her mom was actually dating Donny Osmond, and that is how she got the pictures with him.
Nice.
I have a wild imagination too. I used to like make up stories. But like nothing neat. I make up stories like, I don't know, more when I was younger. And that high school I wasn't really making up stories, but I just kind of have like a vivid imagination. Go figure. I have a very wild imagination. I will say that. I have a weird thing about that. And then I lie, but it's just like I
You're
like
a liar,
to embellish a good story, you know what I'm saying?
Things were
It was a
definitely
lie.
looking up. They auditioned, got the lead in the school play, and she nailed the role. She memorized all of her lines and did amazing. Even though the kids still laughed and snickered at how she looked, one of the most popular girls actually gave Trish a compliment, and she said that Trish did an amazing job in the play. Kids started to see Trish in a different light when she did the school play. I want to read a longer quote from Trisha's book about how Trisha felt about the new attention that she was getting. Trisha said, quote, "I liked the attention. I liked people for liking me for doing something impressive. I also liked the attention my water bras were getting me, not from the boys in my grade, but from my teachers.
Dude, so weird. Jesus.
My male teachers always gave me hugs in the mornings. Even my gym teacher hugged me. And I was terrible at gym. I actually started wearing double bras, and pretty soon I didn't have to do homework. I got extra credit for staying in during recess and helping clean boards and all that fun stuff. Male attention was great, and my teachers were hot. My fantasies were wild about teacher-student affairs. They always fascinated me."
Wait. Okay, I'm not saying that those men didn't sexually objectify her, but what I'm saying is, as I read this, her evidence for it is that the teachers gave her hugs and let her not do homework and got extra credit for staying in recess and helping them. The reason I'm focusing on that is because like the homework thing is bizarre, but it's possible that the teachers felt so bad for her pathetic life, sorry Trisha, that they like gave her a break and they hugged her because they're like, oh God, I feel so terrible for you. It is quite possible that these teachers did not find her sexually attractive and that she just associated that sexual attractiveness to her overly sexualizing herself, and like that she paralleled like her development with the with the behavior of like liking her. But it could be possible that like she was just kind of a loser. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying it's a theory.
And for the first time in my life, men wanted to be around me, wanted me to be with them, and not just for holidays and summer, end quote. The clip I'm getting ready to show you goes into detail more about this, and it was posted on April 3rd, 2015, where Trisha goes into more detail about her teachers, which makes the whole situation even more confusing,
Okay,
because
let's
this
see
isn't
this.
the only video where she elaborates on this more, and I will play more clips from it so that you can see both sides of this whole situation and why I'm so confused by it.
I started really crushing on my teachers early on. I know this is like a weird, like sensitive topic. Like people got like weird about it when I talked about it before, that I had crushes on my teachers and I would like hang out, like go to their classrooms, like try and hang out with them, stuff like that. Like it wasn't anything like the teachers did. It wasn't like teachers were like leaving me on or, you know what I mean, like or coming on to me or something. I just was like really attracted to my teachers. Starting from 4th grade, and my 4th grade teacher was Mr. Bronny, and he was so cute. He had a long ponytail, he had an earring. He smelled like smoke because he was a smoker. Like I don't know, there was something about him. He was just very nice. He encouraged me in my writing. He was so nice and so hot. I was like so in love with him. And I remember in 4th grade, that was like my first like crush on
Like think about this. A lot of men misinterpret niceness as sexual attraction from women. So I don't doubt that she's misinterpreting niceness as sexual attraction from her teacher.
a guy. Like I never had like crushes on like boys in my school. Teachers were like the people in my real life that I would go to school for. It wasn't until my freshman year of English gym that I had a wrestling coach. He was our gym teacher and English teacher. He was so hot. He was premature gray. He was so freaking hot. Oh, I loved him. And I loved like I would always be like, I don't know, like where do I put the heart? We had heart monitors. Like where do I put the heart? Like I would do the little memes. Like again, no teachers ever did anything appropriate with me. Nothing like that. Like I don't want to even like go there. My biology teacher my sophomore year was like my ultimate crush. Like I just got so turned on by him. Like so much. Like I literally like got wet in the panties in class over him. He was so hot.
Because like here's the thing, and like I'm not saying again, like I'm not trying to be like invalidating, but like it's every teacher is so hot, so attractive, so into them, and conveniently it's all the teachers that are nice to her that she finds attractive that are that she's getting positive attention from for being sexualized. I wouldn't doubt that like she's just misinterpreting it and that they just feel bad for her and so they're nice to her.
And then my college teachers, I was just like teachers and I like authority figures and like people who had control and who were educated and older.
And about 4 or so months later, she talked about her teachers again and how nothing illegal happened with them and that it was just her who had innocent crushes on them.
I wasn't dating. I was going on dates. I had crushes on teachers. My freshman year, I had the biggest crush on a teacher named Mr. Baker.
He was a high school wrestling coach, and he was pretty much a guy, and he was so cute. And he was my English teacher and my gym teacher. Coincidence, I think not. I picked classes specifically scheduled like to be in his classes. We had heart rate monitors, and said I was like, Mr. Baker, I don't have you a heart rate monitor on. So I was weird. I was a little Lolita. Well, in the sense that like it was one side of Lolita. Nothing illegal happened with my teachers ever. But like little naughty Trisha definitely was like into my teachers so much. It was weird. I don't know. I probably would have been even more traumatized from life if I ever did anything with a teacher.
Again, draw your own conclusions. I seriously don't know what to believe. I know that children usually suppress trauma at a young age. I have never seen someone talk so positive though about people that cause that trauma, because she generally seems like she looked up to a lot of her teachers, and they were kind of like her only friends at school, and they were kind of like the only people that were nice to her. If she never would have said anything about this in the present time, I would have viewed this as she crushes on her teachers because of her abandonment issues. I mean, it seemed like she just wanted that male figure in her.
That makes sense too. Like not just because they're probably the only people that give her attention, but also because she wants like a father figure in the house, and she has like a lot of like distaste for her father, it seems.
Life that was older and had authority, not in a sick, twisted way, but I just think she missed her father. But with everything now, I really don't know. So Trisha is claiming now that she was abused by multiple teachers from school. The first time she opens up about this is on Frenemies, where she talks about an incident where she was wearing a water bra and the teacher felt her up during Heads Up 7-Up.
It's crazy.
Dude, I hate being this guy. Let's listen to the story.
An incident happened in middle school where a teacher like groped my boobs all the time when we would do like heads down 7-Up. And so when I finally went to the principal about it, he told the principal, well, she's been wearing water bras, so she's been asking for it. Like it's been teasing me. And the principal's like, have you been wearing water bras? I'm like, yeah.
Say what? And the principal was like receptive to that
Yeah,
argument?
and he's like, have you been wearing water bras? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay, well, let's not wear water bras to school. And like, that was my fault because I wore a water bra. I mean, there's been more like that.
Dude, this world is so crazy.
I just, first and foremost, you can't take anything Trisha says for face value. You just can't. Second of all, I just don't believe it. And I could be wrong, but like it's hard. Like if this doesn't, it just doesn't add up to me. And maybe this is the one that's true, but she's like boy who cried wolf to herself, where like I don't believe anything that she says nowadays because she's a lying, manipulative, bad person. But back then, if she had like referenced that, I would be more receptive to it. But again, I just feel like that was magically made up. Not because she's never said it before, but just because Trisha has no credibility. And we've already established that she is desperate to align herself with whatever like is the narrative. And the going narrative right now from like people on TikTok and Twitter is like, I'm being overly sexualized and I'm the victim. And so I think that Trisha is just trying to become that thing to be popular.
What is a water bra?
A water bra was my mom's. There was a bra that, it was water.
You fill it with water?
No, it already had the water in the bra. It was very heavy.
Oh, and you were wearing those at what age?
Like 12. Because I had uneven boobs, so I was trying to even my boobs out for real.
And he said
he would come feel it all the time.
It makes more sense that she was trying to become something that's sexual. She's emulating sexual. Doesn't make sense that she was wearing a water bra at all. The uneven boobs thing doesn't really add up to me because it seems more likely that she was trying to become sexualized. She was trying to sexualize herself because her idol Britney Spears was sexual and people gave her attention. And so it makes more sense that she was wearing that bra to be more sexy. It doesn't make sense for you to wear the bra outside of that. I don't accept the excuse that she had uneven tits. I guarantee you that she did it because she wanted more sex, like to be seen as more sexualized. And that breaks down her story because she was saying that like she was already sexual, like she was being sexualized because of her proportions and whatnot. But I'm pretty sure it's because she wanted to look more attractive.
You play that game like heads down, whatever. You have to like put your head down, or when you were done with the test, but whatever. And so he'd come around like always like groping whatever. And so I finally, he did get arrested. This guy actually did get arrested, but later on. But me, they were like, well, she wears a water bra. And then the second time that happened.
Okay, well, I just want to know, like, can she prove that he was arrested? That will lend some credibility because if he was arrested for being a creep, that would be great. If he was arresting for like a DUI, then like, what are you talking about?
It was a teacher and another teacher, different teacher, and he's like, well, she told me she liked the movie Taxi Driver, so like, or Cape Fear. I'm sorry, Cape Fear. He's like, so I just put my thumb in her mouth to suck it. Anyways, it's a lot, but my trigger, and I laugh because it's so uncomfortable. My trigger is this kind of stuff. But when they say this, well, they wanted it, and people are like, oh, well, did you do that? Did you say you like the movie Cape Fear? Then yeah, grown men should stick their thumb in your mouth so you can suck it.
Dude, the principal literally was like, okay.
Well, the principal didn't say anything the second time. It was the first time that happened.
No, but the fact that they're receptive to that argument.
No, like literally,
is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
The fact that you're receptive to this argument, Ethan, is blowing my mind. The fact that you take everything she says at face value.
I think that's why I didn't have friends, because I think they like knew, like, you saw my teacher like grabbing me, and I was like, okay.
In this next clip,
Doesn't
Trisha
make
elaborates
sense.
more on this, and she tells everyone that there were 3 separate incidents that happened to her in her school. I'm not going to play the full TikTok because she actually names the teacher and tells people to go look up his arrest, but we're going to hold on that part because I will be talking about that in episode 2 in more detail because I don't have enough time to get into it, but there's a lot I want to talk about on that specific thing.
Well, then we'll explore that in episode 2 because at least came forward with it. But I guess I'm gonna have to watch episode 2 whenever the fuck this episode comes out. It might even be out now. I have no goddamn idea.
But here is part of that TikTok. Roll the clip.
I've always been vocal on social media because I was silenced. I'll give a silly reference in this. I was silenced for so long at my school growing up. I had 3 different incidences with 3 different teachers in regards to SA, R word, and M word. Rhymes with vacation, but starts with an M. It happened in the school, and one principal didn't believe me. 2, I was too scared to speak up, and 3, the teacher said I was like asking for it.
Which again, it makes this
It just, those are very, very, very like inline talking points, and she's grabbed all three. Oh, they said I was asking for it. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna wait for her to go into it in depth. I don't invalidate survivors, and you know that on like my channel, I'm going into like detail, and I'm very in defense of survivors. But Trisha is a unique person that I just don't trust or believe.
it's even more confusing because she specifically states there were only 3 separate incidents, but months later she claimed that it was happening every single day and she had to endure it every single day, which was the clip that we watched earlier in the video. And I'm going to play that clip one more time really fast just so that you guys have some context.
I'm pretty sure I was getting an R word by my teachers, and the principal didn't believe me, and I had to
Dude,
endure
you
it every
gotta
single
love
day.
what a
So thank
dumbass
you
is.
that
He's
way.
like,
All right, you guys, I'm not going to go any further with this. I just wanted to show you what
that's
she claimed
crazy.
before versus what she is claiming now. I do have more that I want to say about this in episode 2 in regards to the teacher that she called out by
Definitely
name
tuning
online,
in
but I
for
highly
that.
encourage you guys to listen to her past, listen to her present, listen to everything that I have mentioned in this video, and draw your own conclusions about this based on other things I haven't shown you guys yet, mixed in with everything that I have.
Yeah, like it's inconsistent right there. Like, oh, it happened 3 times, and now it's happening every single day.
You in this video. All I'm going to say right now is something isn't right about the situation, but I'm going to continue telling you Trisha's story based on what I believe is an accurate version of her life. I would love to know your opinions on this, and please, please don't come at me in the comments for showing you both sides of this and being concerned over what she is telling people online, because if she isn't being honest about this, then I think it's so disrespectful to actual victims, and I want to encourage more people to call out this stuff so that maybe Trisha can clear things up, because to be quite honest, it's hurting a lot of people in the process, and we will get deeper into that in episode 2. But let's get back to Trisha's life. The last thing we talked about is her 8th grade year was a huge turnaround for Trisha. She was getting the attention that she craved, and she was getting respect from her fellow classmates. Also during her 8th grade year, husband number 4 finally served her mom with divorce papers, and Trisha started getting more attention from her mother as well. Her dad was a phone call away, and Trisha could just call him up and ask him for anything, and her dad would order what she wanted online and have it sent to her. Trisha said, quote, "I'd be on the
That strengthens the narrative that they're being very petty, the mother and the father, and Trisha knows this, and now the mother has more time to be more attentive to her, I suppose. But like, his business apparently is taken off, and so now he can be like, oh, I want something, get it from my dad, makes my mom feel guilty, my mom will get me something else that I want.
phone with him while he was placing the order, and it made me oh so happy. I wasn't the fat girl anymore or Nick's little sister. I was Trish. I was Trish with the money."
By the way, it does seem like the dad engages more in like I'll buy you things instead of give you real love type relationship, which is very toxic.
Trish with Hollywood life, Trish with the connections. I also did local pageants, and my mom got me in local newspapers by paying $50 or so. And
Yes, he, like, what did he tell you? He gets her something extravagant. The mom tries to do something, but she doesn't have the money, so she does something like more personal, like that. That makes sense.
Lilyland, that was famous. I made it. So life was great, grand, and good. Or at least I pretended it was until the holidays, end quote. Winter break came, and Trish and her brother was off to California to visit their father. Once they arrived, their father blindsided them by saying that he was getting married to Trisha's current stepmom. And it wasn't a month or a year down the road. It was the very next day. Trisha and Nick were shocked, but in a state of shock, Trisha said that she was very happy for them, even though she was livid. Trisha knew with her father getting remarried that there was zero chance for her parents ever getting back together. In her father's eyes, marriage was forever. And the only reason his last 2 marriages didn't last was because both of his wives were not faithful. And that was a deal breaker for him.
I feel like that's probably not true. There's no way that you, like, I understand finding one bad person, but there's no way you found 2 bad people that weren't faithful to you. Like, there was another reason. Like, you're not ever, it's not like you're part of the problem too in some capacity. Maybe you're too involved in your work. I don't really know the specifics, but give me a fucking break with it.
Trisha and Nick didn't tell their mother of the marriage. She actually didn't find out till over a month later when she attempted once again to get back with her father. And Frank told Lena that it wasn't going to happen because he was remarried. Trisha's mom was not happy over the news. She ended up getting back with Callie's father for a short
So this, well, what she did was she filmed her daughters doing OnlyFans together, wrestling in the mud.
period of time after she found out. From
In a
this
bathing
point
suit.
on, Trisha's parents were in a constant battle with each other, and Trisha was caught in the middle. Shortly after the marriage, Trisha's father sold his startup company for millions of dollars, and Trisha's dad and his new wife ended up moving into a mansion in California, and Trisha wanted so bad to move in with her father.
Holy shit, this is crazy. Like, now it just seems like Trisha was only famous because her dad was famous, or her dad had a lot of money to make her famous. How incredible is this story? Like, Trisha, like, what I find crazy is like she wanted to be famous at any cost, but the reality is that like she's not a person that can be famous for anything talented. And then her father must have pulled some strings to get her like into the limelight. And now Trisha is famous for being like a fucking asshole, pathological liar, and a joke.
Freshman year, Trisha was still living in Byron, Illinois, and things were a lot better going into high school. She was on the dance team, and she also made the cheerleading squad. But even though it was nothing like middle school, kids were still being mean to her, and she honestly didn't like it. Halfway through her freshman year, her brother ended up graduating a semester early, and on winter break, instead of flying out to California, Trisha and her brother ended up driving to visit their father, because Nick was going to be moving in with their dad to go to college.
Brother graduated early, and he was like my only saving grace. So he moved back out to, look at there's California. Yeah, he moved back to California when I was
Like a chicken
15.
wing.
And so at this age is when I wanted to drop out of school because without my brother, I had no saving grace in high school. So there I am. And people were really mean. Whatever. What else is new? They were super mean. And I hated school. And I just wanted to be in California with my dad and be an actress and dreaming of being a star and all this fun stuff. So I asked my mom if I could drop out of school. She said no. But I did convince her to let me move out with my dad, where my brother was going to be staying in the guest house. And my mom's like, okay. Okay. So that's when I was 15. So I packed my bags and I moved back to California where my dad was in this little town called Murrieta. They enrolled me in another high school. This is a school right here where the girls were they were sticks. This was them. They were super skinny and had super long, gorgeous hair. It was like the hills.
No
So
arms,
Trisha moved to
barely.
California with her father.
Just like
This was
fucking
what she had been
hands.
dreaming of for so long. But when Trisha got to California, it was quite a culture shock for her.
It's very interesting because she mentioned the super skinny part. Very important because it shows, like, again, it's just reinforcing that she had an issue with getting bullied for what her body looked like. And, like, she just decides to lie about that later on.
Started enrolling in school. It was such a culture shock for me. All I knew was like the hills. And my first day of school, I remember thinking everyone was like the hills. Like the girls who showed me around because they had to, because they were appointed by the office or whatever, just to show me around. They were just in their juicy couture sweats with little Ugg boots and like long, pretty blonde hair and tan skin and perfect teeth. So like the pretty girls of my school, the pretty popular girls of Byron, they couldn't even shine these girls' shoes. I mean, they couldn't even. I mean, the pretty popular girls of Byron still wore like volleyball shirts and like bougie was that they got to tan at a tan. But these girls spray tanned acrylics, had the juicy sweats, had designer bags, had boyfriends. They would make out with them. Like it was just a whole like convertibles and skipping school and bringing it out onto the thing. So it was just like this whole other lifestyle. And I was such a culture shock because at this point, I think I wore like denim overalls like the first day I went. Like what? Like I thought that was a cool thing.
So it wasn't what Trisha expected at all. The bullying at the school was at a whole new level as well.
Third day comes around. Oh gosh, third day at Marietta was the worst day of my life at any school. I think mean people. Book bag was stolen. Cell phone was stolen. My hair was cut. Stuff was thrown at me in my child development class.
I wonder if this is true.
Just horrible names. Like teachers didn't say anything. Teachers didn't care. It just was awful. Like just so mean. Like mean girls. Like and boys. And just it was mean. Teachers wouldn't say anything. I would complain. And I remember I complained to a teacher. And they're like, you're a big girl, like deal with it. Then I went to like the principal's office. He's like, you cannot come in here to tell me about these problems. Like I had no one to talk to.
So Trisha told her dad this wasn't going to work. She actually told her dad that she wanted to go home to her mother because things were so bad at the school. Her father actually offered to put her in homeschool, which Trisha did for a while, but it was really difficult because you have to basically teach yourself everything. But she actually convinced her father to put her in acting classes, and if she kept her grades up and did well, she could continue those acting classes. So Trisha worked hard so that she could continue doing that, but over time, the homeschooling became overwhelming, and on top of that, she really didn't like the rules that she had to follow at her father's house. Her mother was so laid back with her, and she had no chores back in Illinois. On top of that, Trisha really didn't like her stepmom. She pushed Trisha to do work around the house and had weird rules that she had to follow.
Weird rules? Like what? Take care of your shit? Wait, so her mom seemed like she didn't really raise her a lot. Part of it's probably like a guilt thing because she was working all the time. I don't really know, but like not having this makes sense. Trisha's just off the fucking rails.
Also during the summer, I was having a really tough time with my stepmom and adjusting to her and her rules. Back home with my mom, I never once had to do chores. She did all my laundry. I could just hang and sit around comfortably watching TV, eating snacks, and no one would tell me anything. My stepmom was trying to be mom, telling me I had chores to do. I have to fold towels for everyone in the house. I have to, and we had a maid, by the way, but I still had to clean. I had to clean, I had to do chores, I had to fold towels. If I wasn't doing anything, she was, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Like, oh, come here and help me with this. Like, vacuum, do something besides just sitting on your butt sort of thing. So I was like, I wouldn't say that's an abuse by any means, but I just wasn't used to it. It wasn't what my mom brought me up for the past 15 years,
I wouldn't say it's abuse. Well, nobody would. So why would you even say those words? Like, that's sometimes people will say, like, I wouldn't say it's this thing, but... And then they'll try to, like, what they're doing is they're priming the situation for saying, like, it wasn't abuse. But what they're really saying is it's not as bad as, I know it's not abuse, and it's not as bad as abuse, but I'm going to equate it to abuse subtextually. Shitty. You're just doing chores.
She was weird. She wouldn't let me
And it makes sense that you would be frustrated with it then, but you're an adult now. So you should be like, I get why she did that, but she still has a hang up on it. How? How are you still hung up on it?
lock my doors. Like, she locked out of my bedroom. I couldn't lock my bedroom door. She would just come in. Stuff would go missing out of my room. Perfumes. And this was a time, again, I had a very vivid imagination. So I think my dad thought I was making stuff up. And even my mom. I don't know if anyone believed me, but stuff would go missing. But again, it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf.
So nothing was going good for Trisha.
Yeah.
School was hard. She couldn't
Boy who
stand her
cried wolf.
stepmom, but her dad
That's
was wanting
you.
her to stay in California. And at the same time, her mother was wanting her to come back home to Illinois because I guess her father at some point started asking Lena for child support because he had Trisha full time.
At the same time, my mom, I think my dad had asked my mom for child support now since he had
That's
me.
honestly, like, I get it. It makes perfect sense, but it's shitty because he's rich and he doesn't need it. And so him asking for child support is intentionally just trying to hurt her for it.
Like, you need to come back here. So this was a very push-pull. Like, my dad's pulling me one way and my mom's pulling the other. So my mom's playing into me not liking my stepmom and using that against my dad. My dad's very like, it's a better lifestyle for her out here. So it was very push and pull. By the end of the day, or at the end of the day, I was just, with the homeschooling, the stepmom, just all this adjustment, this change, this culture shock. I like, you know what, let me just go home with my mom. And it really upset my dad and my stepmom. It was scary. I actually thought my stepmom was going to try and come help me before I could go home. It was really scary. I would like not sleep. I'd be scared of it. I don't know if that's like, again, that's like, it's not like it's a legit fear, but it was a legit fear for me. Not that I was saying she's like dangerous or but I was a little scared. But I'm still paranoid about stuff like that.
So Trish went home
He's
to
doing it again. It's like, I thought that she was going to kill me. Like, you want us to think that she's this crazy fucking murderer.
Illinois, and the truth came out about her father wanting her in California because before she moved out with her dad, he was in her ear trying to convince Trish to move out there with them. Right when all of this was going on, Lena heard that Trish's father sold his company for millions and filed with the courts to get more child support. Trish said, quote, "The battle only got worse, not the battle for me. Oh no, who cared where Trish ended up? The battle for money and who got to keep it and who got to take it." And
so it's actually quite possible that the dad countersued for child support after the mom found out that he went there. You can understand what I'm saying. It's quite possible that the dad filed for child support from the mother when he was taking care of the kid because the mom filed for child support to get more money when she found out that he had a lot of money now, which makes sense to get more money, like from the parent of your child.
end quote. This was the beginning of a long court battle that caused a lot of pain and hurt to Trisha. And put a pin in this because we will talk about this a little later. So Trish was back in Illinois and she did not want to go back to Byron as a failure. So they convinced their dad to continue paying for the homeschool that they were doing out in California. But once Trish got comfortable back in Illinois, she stopped doing her homework altogether. She somehow managed to hide this from her father for a full semester. Once her father found out she stopped doing her schoolwork, there was no other choice but to go back to school in Illinois. Trisha's mother was actually going to let her drop out as soon as she turned 16, but at the time she was still
what is happening? How her mother is wildly irresponsible.
15. So she had a whole nother semester.
And the dad seemed to have wanted to have Trisha with him, which means that like he doesn't even seem like a kind of like a shitty father that doesn't want his kids. So like the mom, her mom is a worthless person. Like, I'm sorry, but you are going to let your kid drop out of 16. You don't make them do any chores around the house. You don't care if they do well in school. Imagine like being like your kid's like, hey, can I drop out at 16? You're like, yeah, sure. Now I get it if you're a poor family that like your kid needs to work. So like I get situations, but she just coddled and gave the kid anything that she wanted, and now she still gets that lifestyle. That's why she buys extravagant things. She's a fucking child still.
That she had to do of school before she could officially drop out. So Trisha's mother agreed to move towns so that she didn't have to go back to Byron. They ended up moving to a small town in Illinois called Pecatonica that was about 30 minutes away from Byron.
Wait, how did the mom just pick up and move? I'm so confused. The mom was poor and working through jobs, but can just pick up and move on a whim because Trisha didn't want to go back to a school because she didn't want to see it as some kind of a failure. That's why. This is so weird. Like a normal parent would be like, oh, well, go back to school. Like, you're not a fucking princess. This is probably why Trisha had no friends. She's probably a shitty person. Now, I'm not saying she wasn't bullied. She probably was bullied by popular people, and then she probably bullied people who weren't popular because she thought she was a popular person that deserved to be popular. She ostracized everyone.
This school was a turning point for her.
My second half of my sophomore year, they're so hillbilly, so hickish. So I go from being a 5 at Byron to a 0 at Marietta to a 15 plus at Pecatonica. I mean, the popular girls were farmers. They wore the overalls. That was the popular girl. So at this point, I had been in California. I had some snazzy clothes. I got a Juicy Couture tracksuit, so I like the Marietta bitch, right? I was so many of stories. I remember one story I made up was that my dad had got me a sidekick with this cool team of sidekicks that Paris Hilton had. But I'm like, oh, but I can't bring it to school because it's too expensive. Again, I wasn't too well received, but I was definitely more of an enigma there, if you will. Very like.
Look at that. She was like, I was so much more attractive than anybody there because I was dressed nicely, right? And then, but nobody liked her. I wasn't well received. Then how are you saying you're a 15 out of 10 at this school? People don't like you. You're a shitty person. It's not about what you're wearing. You're just a shitty person.
Like, ooh, she's from California because I said that I had moved from California.
How come Trisha's never talked about a best friend that she's had in school? There's no way that nobody has a best friend. Even the shittiest of people in schools are able to find best friends. Usually because even those shitty people who are assholes, they know their limits and they'll like bond with somebody and not treat them like shit. How did you not have a single best friend in school? It doesn't make logical sense. Part of this is obviously her bullying, but part of this is because she is also part of the problem, and we don't talk about it.
Them that I was in Byron most of my life, but I just moved to California. That's where I transferred from. That's why I was going with my California story. So they thought it was very cool, very unique, but very different. They kind of make fun of me. They kind of call me Paris Hilton because the simple life was a thing. That's Paris Hilton back in this hick town, and I liked it. I liked being like referred to as a Paris Hilton type to me. I loved the life. I loved the glamorous life. I was like, okay, I'll take this. So again, not making me popular, but at least it wasn't making me like this like ugh, gross girl that don't even associate with. It was more like she's kind of weird. She's in California. We don't like the Californians around here, sort of thing.
Maybe
It's
you're
not
fucking
who
psychotic.
I thought I was. So I kind of liked it. It was a better image for me that I liked.
Trisha was finally getting noticed. She still was bullied for stupid stuff at the school, but it was more of a jealousy type bullying because she was so different from the other kids. Guys noticed her and guys were attracted to her, and she never really got this much attention before, and she liked the attention. Trish said, quote, I started sexing myself up a little more. My mom bleached my hair a brassy blonde. I ripped up my t-shirts and threw birds and crap in my hair, and I called it fashion. I think with all my dazzle, people didn't
What?
notice my weight, end quote. Since this town was so small,
This is fucking weird. Ugh.
and the people didn't see much outside of Pecatonica, Trisha would say some really off-the-wall things to see how kids would react. Trish said, quote, I would say random things like horses don't exist because I've never seen them. Something so outlandish, and they would believe me. It'd get a rise out of people. It was fabulous, and it was attention.
All right, so this shows something very important because she said things like, I'm a chicken nugget. So she clearly liked the positive attention she got when she would just say outlandishly weird things. And which shows that she's not as dumb as she seems, but she's still really dumb. But like things like, oh, what's the Holocaust? Like that was an objective lie. Like she was lying. She knew what the Holocaust was. She was just hamming it up. She was playing the dumb person. And it makes additional sense because she started engaging in this behavior after she started to be called Paris Hilton, which she looked up to. And so now she's taking on that characteristic of Paris Hilton of acting dumb. It makes perfect sense. Going through the history of Trisha, it shows everything. This is insane. This is so revealing.
End quote. I personally think this is where Trisha grabbed ideas for some of her earlier content on YouTube because early in her YouTube career, she would upload some pretty crazy videos that was very similar.
Bro, this
to the
video
things
is
that she would say at
brilliant.
school.
But then I wonder, like, okay, dogs can't talk. So do they have brains? Like, yes, they walk, but it's because we're telling them to walk. I woke up this morning feeling like a chicken nugget.
Like, and this is funny. If she was still this person, that would be amazing. If she just did it like ironically, that would be fucking awesome.
Eating Tide Pods, is it a joke or is it a snack? Eating Tide Pods will not get this ass. I'm eating Tide Pods because I have nothing else to do. I'm taking Tide Pods just to try and be cool. But I think the vampire is stalking me, and I'm not even being a little bit funny about it. Like, what is it? The fuck? The fuck? I can't make that shit up. The fuck was that? The fuck? Crazy shit, man.
Her lips look like shit.
So yeah, early trolling Trish started her junior year at
She's
Pecatonica.
really funny when she's trolling. I wish she just stayed in like the trolling Trish phase, instead of the fucking lying bitch phase.
High School. But yeah, the school was a good fit for the most part. The other thing that picked up attention at the
Somebody in my chat said, I'm sorry, but I don't even understand how anyone finds her attractive. So like physically, she's not that bad looking, but she's just such a shitty, disgusting person. I agree. I don't think she's physically unattractive, but I think she is such a bad person that I would fucking like, I just could never even get hard even like looking at her. She deflates, you know, she's very
school was
deflating.
Trisha's fast talking and fast reading. When it came time to read in class, all of Trisha's classmates would pick her so that it would get done faster. Trisha loved the attention from this. She would actually get in trouble for reading too fast in class. So I believe that this was the point where she saw the attention that she would get from all this fast talking, and she used it later online to boost her career.
Yeah.
You're so happy, aren't you?
You're so pretty. It's like looking in a mirror. I'm really happy. All right.
Okay.
Stepping on a spider has to be the scariest thing in the world. Actually, you know what would be scarier? If after putting on the one shirt, I and the other one just got that teaming with hundreds of spiders, all the babies were in there, whole let's see the gooski, school fish, school cycle. Oh, no, I remember whole spiders, that'd be scary together. I'll camp down the woods and I can camp here in the woods.
All right, so I'm watching this on 50% increased speed, so I should probably slow it down a little bit.
You're sleeping in your backyard. I don't know, maybe you like the great outdoors, but you just want to come home and maybe you have a fire with me. You know, okay, that's the bad.
All right, we got a good taste of that. Okay. It makes sense because she talks so fast and it's obnoxious.
So, and this is the scary part. You're back
All right, we definitely
School and high school.
move past this.
It's just really interesting to me how much her middle school and high school experiences shaped her as a person and how much
It's
she used
true.
it to boost her career and how much it reflects on her as a person today, which is a huge reason why I thought this video would be interesting to people. When I was in high school and middle school, I grew up and I never looked back, and it didn't really bleed into my adulthood like it has with Trisha. I know everyone is different though. I just find
That's
it also
fair.
interesting with her. That's why I want you guys to absorb as much as you possibly can with this video, because we will be referring back to this video a lot in the upcoming episodes I have planned. But let's get back to Trisha's life. So she was at Pecatonica High School. She was getting attention. Everybody thought she was so different. She was on the golf team at the school, and she also tried out for cheerleading, made that team. The girls, however, at the school made up some pretty vicious rumors about Trisha out of jealousy, and during this time Trisha still crushed on her teachers, and the kids would make fun of her for that as well.
There's two teachers that were saved grace.
Oh, so it was like a public thing that she crushed on her teachers. Yeah, man. It seems like she crushed on her teachers and the teachers were just nice to her because nobody liked her. And part of that was probably because she openly and actively crushed on her teachers. And so nobody liked her. So her teachers were nice to her. And that's because that you actively and openly question. You understand how this is very circular? She has a bad behavior. People don't like the behavior. Somebody else, blah, blah, blah. You get the point.
Here, Mr. Hartz, who was my like Western Civ sociology teacher. Oh, Mr. Schmidt. He didn't, not that he liked me. He was a hot teacher. But my personal favorite hot teacher was my Mr. Dunn, which was my junior biology teacher. He was so yummy. So, anyways, I put my sophomore year. When I was California for the summer, came back. Junior year was starting, and junior year, so he was my junior year biology teacher. It was great. So with this, I got made fun of a lot for my fondness for teachers, but it wasn't sexual. Like I never made like a sexual. Obviously, I was not comfortable with my sexuality when I was 16 at this point. So it was more like calling me a suck up, and they spread vicious rumors at the school, like really crazy ones I would hear about myself, and just this was maybe the first time of bullying where like people wanted me to be myself, sort of thing. Weird stuff that like I would like that I was in a cult, that I someone that my father tried to tell me, like the teacher, that just stuff that could be really damaging was going around, and it was this whole new form of bullying where it was like serious.
Now at this point, because the rumors were so out of control.
Yeah, that's terrible, but I wonder why they were so serious, because it's not normal for people to make up outlandish rumors. They're usually somewhat rooted in like some kind of reality. So like I'm not trying to be all victim blamey, but like I wonder if Trisha was just so fucking insane that they made up the rumors that she was like her and her fucking father are like insane and they're in a cult. You know what I mean?
Trisha's mom allowed her to drop out of school. So they went to the school, she dropped out. A couple weeks later, there was an opportunity for her to be in a play where she had the opportunity.
Why does the mother engage in this behavior where she constantly lets her run away from school? It just doesn't really make sense. Like I understand bullying can get really bad, but there's no way that it happened in like 5 separate schools, because she said she moved 4 schools. So maybe I'm assuming this is the 5th, but either way, 4 or 5 different schools. There's no way that it's that bad and that there's no way to move through it. It seems like the mom, it seems more like possibly that she doesn't like the school anymore. So she exaggerates what the rumors are and then guilts her mother into allowing her to drop out of school or move to a new school. That is so much more likely. And I guarantee, I honestly think that that's actually what happened.
To play a glamorous character called Penny Palmer, but she couldn't be in that play unless she was enrolled in Pecatonica High School. So 2 weeks after dropping out of school, Trisha ended up going back to school.
Wait, so she was getting bullied so bad that she needed to drop out, but she was willing to go back and do a play. Doesn't add up. I doubt she's getting bullied that bad. I'm sure she's getting bullied, but it sounds like she's lying about how intense she's getting bullied so that like she can get what she wants. Remember earlier, she wanted to drop out of school at 16. Mom wouldn't let her. Or dad wouldn't let her, but the mom was going to let her. But you get my point.
Yeah, I just went back. I did the play. And it was really fun. I got to be like this Marilyn Monroe character. It's called Swing Fever, I think. And so I got to be like this Hollywood starlet from California. And it's like a small town. And her name was Penny Palmer. And everyone's like, oh my god, Penny Palmer. And there was a redhead named Josh in the play who was super hot, in my opinion. And I just kind of stayed with it because he was. There was a rumor that I posed naked for Playboy when I was 16. He's like, we heard you posing naked for Playboy. That's so hot. You want to see some more pictures of you? So I had never got this attention before. So I kind of liked it. And I played into it.
After the play was done, Trish was actually thinking about dropping out again. She actually was going to become a stripper if she followed through with it. Her mom surprisingly supported Trish becoming a stripper if that's what she wanted to do. But
Mom, you're fucking awful. Listen, if my daughter became a stripper, I would support my daughter. But like, you don't support your child in becoming like a stripper. Not at 16. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of those things where like you can tell a good parent by a bad parent. A bad parent will just affirm like dog shit. Like, it's one thing for like me to do my best to raise my daughter, and it gets out of school and she decides to do porn when she's of legal age. Okay. I will support my daughter because I will love my daughter, but I don't support the career path she's chosen, which is a perfectly reasonable, respectable, and understandable way to engage. The mom's like, you're 16 and you want to do fucking porn or be a stripper or whatever? Yes, do it. What? That makes no fucking sense. Constantly engaging in this weird shit. You think it's appropriate to allow your daughter to use, like, to sexualize herself? It's weird that she was 16 and already like, yeah, I think I might want to become a stripper. I like the positive interaction. What? That's insane. Why is your daughter so focused on wanting to be sexy? It's gross. 16? Bad mom, honestly.
the main reason Trish decided to finish school was the biology teacher that she had a crush on, Mr. Dunn. He encouraged her to be the best that she could be and always told her that she was bigger than Pecatonica.
So I probably would have quit if it wasn't for the hunky. Look at this. I'm just gonna have to draw him out right here.
The teacher that was being nice to her, saying that she could be successful. There's a pattern that somehow the niceness is, I want to fuck Trisha.
My hunky biology teacher, Mr. Dunn, he had beautiful eyes. Let's just take a little more time to draw him.
Terrible.
He's very handsome. And he had glasses.
He looks like fucking Aladdin with a tumor in his
movies and
chest.
stuff, but he doesn't look. He looks better than this. Let's just make his hair cooler. His name was Mr. Dunn, and we used to play like movie trivia and stuff in his class. And like I'd always go to like his classroom during like homeroom and like flirt with him because I liked him a lot. He was really smart and just like, really encouraged me to like that I was like better than this little farm town. So he's the reason I stayed, just because I was so like in love with him. Otherwise I would have quit.
So like a lot of the teachers that we've heard in this video, Mr. Dunn was more like a role model to her, and he encouraged her to be the best that she could be. Yes, she had a crush on him, but once
Definitely
again,
daddy
Trisha said nothing
issues.
illegal ever happened with this teacher. In her book, she specifically said it was only a fantasy. Trish said, quote, Mr. Dunn never gave me the D, but the fantasy and sexual tension were enough for me. He is the only one that I miss from childhood. He is the only one I ever care to see again, end quote.
Dude, yeah, she sexually fantasizes about all her teachers. Oh.
During Trisha's junior year at school, Trisha's parents were still in a nasty custody battle where Trisha's mom was fighting for more money, which is what I told you guys to
Which is somewhat normal, but like it's just weird when you frame it with everything together.
earlier. Trisha was being dragged to court every month, and it came to a point where Trisha's mom was forcing her to testify against her own father. This was something that Trisha did not want to do. Trisha loved her father so much, and she did not want to say anything negative about him in front of a judge. Trisha said, quote, I bawled uncontrollably in the courtroom. I couldn't catch my breath, and at that point, I didn't want to catch my breath. It was the only time in my life I would rather be dead than alive, and that was the lowest point. My dad said, stop, before I spoke, and he said, no more. I will always have so much respect for him stopping that court session. My dad saved my life that day because I did not want to go on living if I had to choose between my mom and dad. He hugged me and said everything was okay, end quote. Trisha's father ended up giving her mother a good chunk of cash that day. So
Oh my God, bro, this dad actually seems like a good father. This is what happened. The mom forced the mom forced Trisha to go on stage, I guess, for child support money. And then she got so upset that that's it. And the dad was fighting it. And she got so upset. Trisha got so upset that he just said, fuck it, I'm going to give the money. Don't even care anymore. The money, it doesn't matter. Right? Now, he should have probably given more money in the first place because you should be supporting your children financially, though he seemed to have been giving her a ton of stuff outside of it. So I don't know the specifics, but this seems like a decent dad. He seems like a decent father. The mother is dog shit. The dad wasn't as involved. Like the dad wanted the kid. He spoiled her, which was obviously not a good way to go. He just probably spoiled her instead of actually giving her attention. But overall, the mom wanted to let her drop out of school, support her being a stripper. The dad literally was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna give your mother a bunch of money." They're being petty with each other, just so that you don't have to speak on trial because you're so upset. Fucking incredible.
Trisha didn't have to choose. Late summer 2005, senior year was finally here for Trisha. She was almost done with school. Trish said, quote, senior year was my living hell. That was when I turned from emotionally unstable to full on Trish needs help, end quote. It's very unclear what exactly happened during this year, but Trisha's mom had a new boyfriend during this time that Trisha refers to him by the name of Tiger. She said that he would walk around the house naked, he would sit on her bed naked, and he stole her DVDs. But Trisha's mother never believed her. Trisha said, quote, I did have a past of lying, but I never lied about Tiger, end quote. Trish and her mother during this time started to really not get along because of this boyfriend. It was like her mother chose him over her. It got to a point where Lena turned Trisha's own sister against her. In Trisha's high school dropout video, she elaborates on this a little more, but it's very vague about what her mom's boyfriend actually did to her. Here's the clip.
My mom, my sister, and I were not close at this time. My mom had a boyfriend who, she was working at a country club in Freeport. She had a boyfriend who was like the manager, and yeah, I had some, this is a whole other video, and I really kind of want to get into this. I'm trying to keep this kind of lighthearted, but, it was not a safe environment for a 17-year-old to be in. Again, because I have an imagination, I think when I talked about this stuff, I think people thought it was made up, so I learned to just zip my lip, and I did not tell my mom a lot of stuff, and my mom still doesn't know about a lot of stuff to this day. I don't necessarily blame her, because when I first started saying stuff, it was very little things, it was very little things that weren't sexual, just like, Trish, stop, because I was never a fan of her husband. She's been married a couple times at this point. I was never a fan of them, that was known. But I just had some, traumatizing, I blocked it out, I blocked a lot of this out. I don't talk about it because a lot of the stuff is blacked out, where even when I go to therapy, I don't know a lot of the stuff that's happened because I blocked a lot of it out and I can remember certain things. And so my senior year, my mom and I barely talked to each other. I think that's why I made more of a attempt to be more social with people, because I did not like being at home. My mom had turned my sister against me. She didn't like me. My sister thought I was just I don't know, it was not good. Nobody liked me. I felt it.
This is just my personal opinion, but to me, this seems to be the real trauma she experienced as a minor. She said on the Frenemies podcast that 2005 was the worst trauma of her life, but for some reason, they claimed it was their teachers that were coming to their house and doing this stuff to them. Those were the clips that we watched earlier in the video. What's interesting is that
that makes sense. I tend to believe that that's the kind of really disgusting behavior. He would come in there, sit with her naked. He was probably trying to have sex with her. That's very traumatizing for somebody, especially when it expands where she tries to tell the truth and then she's shamed for lying. And so she's in this situation of hysteria. She's like, this is bad things happening to me, and I'm admitting it to the person that's supposed to love me and protect me the most, the mother, who's proven to be a worthless, shitty mother. And I'm being invalidated by that person.
Trisha recently posted a video as well, and she talked about a car crash that she caused in 2005.
I share the story already, but I have some pretty deep roots in 2005 and a deep connection of wanting to be Gerard Way. I had something similar with Brittany, but it's just a lot. It was a car accident I was in 2005, and one that I caused, and I really don't talk about it that much. no one died or anything. It ended up, but like, I just wanted to end myself basically. But like, I didn't know that at the time. Like, it was a whole thing. And so when both our cars collided, I just remember like hearing that. And then like, obviously the song was out. So like, I guess like I just heard the song, but like, there's like a whole level.
Look, there's a big portion of her book talking about her mom's boyfriend. Like I said before, she doesn't say anything about what he did to her, but when I was researching this and heard her actually talk about it in the high school video, it all started to make sense to me. And this seems to be a more realistic version of her actual life based on the stories that she has told over the past 10 years. Trish has a habit of taking the truth and spinning it into a completely different story. And if I'm right about this, it is very disappointing that it's being spun into being about the teachers that helped her throughout her childhood, because they seem to be her only support system. They encouraged her to do the best that she could. And until recently, she has always spoke highly about her teachers. In 2005, Trish was at Pecatonica High School and she looked up to two of her teachers a great deal. In a vlog that she posted a long time ago on her channel, she went back to her old high school. She spoke about wanting to see these teachers and reconnecting with them, but the day that she came, she was unable to see them. Check it out.
So we're here in high school. We got let out early, which is sad. And the teachers aren't a teacher institute thing. I don't really know, but this is school. It's different. You're like buzzed to like get in. I'm like, is it like no guns? No flag? So anyways, here we are in front of me. I tried to see you guys and heck, it just didn't work out. It's the story of my life. So I moved away. So he said to come back at 2:30, but I'm like, that just sounds like so much work. Anyways.
What they're like, yeah, you can see them just come back at 2:30, and they're like, no, I'm not doing that. What? You could have what?
So I just Instagrammed me in front of my high school, proof that I was here. I really wanted to be like, fuck you, Pecatonica High School. I don't know, I came back from nostalgia. And then I got let down and disappointed because I couldn't see my favorite teacher. I couldn't see the people on Facebook that asked me to come. It was very disappointing.
Could have.
Much like my
Should have go back at 2:30.
Which implies why I hate Pecatonica. Because the guy who was at the door said, oh, the teachers are all in a meeting in the cafeteria, which was literally like 2 feet away from us. And we're like, oh, can we just like see them in LA for one day? Like just for like 5 minutes. Not possible while they're in the meeting. It's very important. I was like, oh my gosh, you're getting me. This is so stupid. Like, oh.
They were in a meeting, and she's like, that's bullshit. Why the fuck couldn't they talk to me? It's like, because they're in a meeting. It's probably actually important. All you had to do is wait like an hour probably, and you're like, no. What is wrong with you?
Anyways, that guy was weird. But whatever. It was, I would say it was exciting to see my high school again, but it's not at all, actually. Why do I care so bad to try and get a little piece of nostalgia when no one likes me here anyways? No one likes me here now. Everyone's like, bye. So
yeah, she was so disappointed that she couldn't even say hi to her favorite teacher. This is what I'm going to say. I absolutely believe that Trish went through some trauma as a minor, but I don't believe what she claims today is a true version of her life. I believe it's an embellished story that she based on experiences that she actually went through. And I do feel for her in that aspect, that she went through something really fucking traumatizing and her mom could have cared less. But I don't agree with the damage that's been caused to the people in the schools that she has called out to her millions of followers. It would be a different story if she wasn't actually causing damage to people with the stories that she tells, but that's not what has happened. We will definitely get into the damage that has been caused in episode 2 though, but let's get back to Trisha's senior year. So Trisha and her mom were not even talking to each other during this time. Their relationship was falling apart. She couldn't even talk to her sister about anything because her mom turned her sister against Trisha. But things at the school were actually going very well. The students were actually getting more used to her, and she ran for homecoming queen. And Trisha actually won. Trisha says it wasn't because of popularity. It was because the girls she went up against were not liked at that school at all. So everyone ended up voting for her. Check it out.
I was also voted homecoming queen. Someone's like, you were popular. I posted on my Instagram. No, I was not popular. Towards my senior year, more people were like warming up to me because I only moved to Pecatonica when I was a sophomore. So it's like kind of new and they're like warming up to me more. And also they hated everyone else, so I kind of won by the default. Because like all the cheerleaders were nominated and everyone kind of hated all of them. And I was like really like, I wasn't really hated. I wasn't like popular, but I wasn't like super like hated. People were just like mean as they were to everybody.
This was a huge moment for Trish being voted homecoming queen. And because Trisha and her mother were not close like they once were, Trisha's mom could have cared less about her getting the crown. They had a bonfire and lip syncing contest the night of homecoming. And Trish sang.
Dude, I find it incredible when like parents and kids hold grudges, specifically parents hold grudges with their children in general. I think that like most of the time, like parents are more, especially when the kids are young, parents are always the more responsible individuals that have more life experience and should understand more particular like behaviors, you know? And so like, I've never had a long-term fight with my mom. Like we've fought before, we've had disagreements, but it never lasted because it was petty bullshit. Most people's shit is petty. And a lot of times it was just me overreacting. But as an adult, you know, the adult is supposed to kind of bear the brunt of it. So like your kid became homecoming queen after being bullied all the time and you don't care. Like you're a fucking loser. This mom is this video should be titled Trisha Paytas' mom is a fucking loser. Because that's what it should be.
It's Britney Spears again. She had such a wonderful night, but unfortunately her own mother didn't show her that she was proud of her and wasn't there for her in that moment.
When I got homecoming queen at the lip sync bonfire thing, the game, like no one even cared. My mom did come to the ceremony. I took pictures, but it wasn't a big thing. Like we were always close where if something big happened, we celebrated. My mom did not care. She's like, I'm busy. I have stuff to do. Great, that's nice. Bye. And she didn't even. It just. It was really hard. It was very hard.
Why'd she go and take
Trish
pictures
also got voted most likely to be famous, which is kind of ironic considering how things worked out for her. Graduation was finally here, and Trish was ready to get out of Pecatonica. She had just turned 18 a few weeks before graduation. She started to have boxes shipped to her father's house in California, and the day of graduation, she grabbed her diploma and said goodbye to no one, not even her favorite teacher, and that is the one thing that she regrets, is not saying goodbye to Mr. Dunn. She also did not say goodbye to her mother or sister because their relationship was so broken at that point, but Trisha was off to California to live with her dad and pursue her dreams. After moving to California, Trisha did go to college for a short period of time, and she also landed some small parts on TV, but after a major falling falling out with her father, Trisha ended up quitting college and moving out of her dad's house. Her dad stopped paying for everything, and Trish ended up turning to stripping, which then turned into escorting. While Trish was stripping and escorting, she was still getting small acting gigs here and there, and she also found MySpace, where she would post some really risque photos, which gained her a decent following. During this time, YouTube was really the only platform where you could upload longer videos. So that is what Trish started to do for her MySpace fans so that they could get to know her better. Her first upload was a rapping to Vanilla Ice.
Hey, what's up? This is Trisha. I'm super fun, super bubbly, have many talents, but one hidden talent. I'm a rapper. Alright, stop. Collaborate and listen. I suspect with my brand new invention something.
Trisha's early YouTube videos were
First of all, Vanilla Ice is not rap. Second of all, that's not like talent to sing other people's music.
mainly about
Like,
Quentin Tarantino because she was a huge fan of him. She would act out scenes from Quentin's movies, and she even originally named her YouTube channel Grindhouse Barbie.
Welcome to the Grindhouse Barbie Show with your host, Grindhouse Barbie. And I have a very, very special guest today with me. Special guest, please come out. Quentin Tarantino. How are you, baby?
She would also sing, dance, and rap a lot for her channel before transitioning her content and more sit-down, get-to-know-you type videos. Trish continued going to auditions and landed
and saying that you're a chicken nugget.
small parts here and there. In 2008, Trisha ended up on a game show, The Price is Right.
I'm over here getting a big thing. She tries as close as she can to $1 without going over. And let her eat it. Whoa, there you go. You want to say hi to anybody while it's spinning?
Hi to Quentin Tarantino.
Then in 2009, Trisha landed a huge opportunity as one of the main parts in Eminem's We Made You music video, where Trisha played an overweight Jessica Simpson. Trisha also made appearances on The Ellen Show for her fast talking and also America's Got Talent.
Very desperate to be famous here.
Trisha, I couldn't understand anything you were saying.
Yeah.
Because it was that quick.
I mean, I'm not really a rapper. I just need to make up a talent to see how it turns.
Oh, well, that's different. Now you're talking.
In 2010, Trisha also landed a spot on the reality show My Strange Addiction, where she claimed she was addicted to tanning.
My name is Trisha, and I can't stop tanning. I mean, I could stop tanning, I just don't want to stop. The law in California states you can only tan once every 20
I didn't know that she lied about having an obsession to get on TV. Doesn't
hours.
don't
I
doubt
do
it.
that law. It's only once every 24 hours I have salon. Well, currently I'm a member at 6 salons, and I go to all of them if I have something big going on. I try and make stops, but they're all kind of in a row on the same street.
A few years ago, Trisha went on Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive, where they claimed the entire tanning addiction was fake, just so that she could get a spot on the show.
No kidding.
You were on a show, right? A show like My Strange Addiction for tanning?
Oh yeah, but that was bullshit. Like I wasn't really addicted to tanning.
Okay,
I
okay.
just
So
No
everything I'm about to
kidding.
say is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been addicted, but definitely not to tanning. I just did it to get on the show because it was like new, and they're like, we're looking for people with addictions, and I was like, all right.
You faked the tanning addiction?
For sure. Yeah.
For clout?
Yeah, for sure.
At least you didn't fake a marriage, am I right?
Which is funny because after getting called out by James Charles in 2020, Trisha uploaded a TikTok saying that she did in fact have a tanning addiction, even though she already admitted that the whole thing was fake.
I had a really bad addiction to tanning, and I know that sounds silly to a lot of people, but I was actually in the first season of My Strange Addiction for tanning, and it was a real
Bro, this is so stupid. Of course she's on TikTok telling people that she was addicted to something even though she lied about it and she was open about that lie. Because again, if you have an addiction or if you're the victim of something, you get clout on TikTok. Because TikTok is a platform run by the morals of children. Of course, Trisha is such a bullshit fucking liar. She's such a worthless
psychological
person.
problem, as most addictions are. I've had several identity crises in my life, and tanning was this way to not be myself anymore. I
Shut
liked
up.
my aesthetic, I liked the way I look, but it really
Stop.
did go too far where the
Stop.
my
You don't
organs
need
were
to
being
explain, like, come up with a bullshit lie and explain this because you're lying.
and
It's
I had skin
boring.
cancer in me removed, and I've never talked about this before. So this
Just
wasn't
doubt that. I
blackface. This
just
was
don't
a
care.
really emotionally damaged person covering up
No.
her lack of identity through tanning.
I think
this
it's-
makes me really sad. This is a really sad girl.
This is just you trying to be
trying so
on
hard to change everything
a
about
show
this.
about addictions.
As you can see, Trisha's really good at lies and manipulations because
Yeah.
seeing the clips side by side, you really can't tell which clip is the actual truth because they make it so believable. Trisha would troll a lot on her channel and do really stupid things, like making out with a tree or eating tampons, anything to get attention from people, which landed her the label of being a professional troll. Her first taste of backlash on a massive scale was when she uploaded a YouTube video being a complete ditzy blonde type
I
character.
wouldn't call her like a troll. Like a troll is usually somebody that like is acknowledging that they're just doing this, like that they're just fucking around. Like we do a little trolling here. Trisha like swears these things are true. This is ridiculous.
Talking about the reasons why she was going to vote for Mitt Romney.
Anyways, I am fully supportive of Mitt Romney, and there are a few reasons why I'm going to be voting for Mitt Romney in this election. Because he is super gorgeous and hot, and we haven't really had a hot president since, like, Kennedy, but we all know how that ended. Then another reason I'm going to vote for Mitt, well, my kid is named Mitts, so I think it's actually Mittens, but we call him Mitts for, short. So yay, that's like a sign, I think, right? And
Yeah, sure.
Mitt rhymes with tit. No, I'm just kidding. But I have 2 of those, so, but that's really not, no, that's not the reason I'm voting for him.
I don't want to watch any more of this.
Trisha eventually
bad.
quit stripping. She also
you.
reconnected with both her mother and father. Family always has been really important to Trisha. Trisha seems to see her mom and sister a lot. They live relatively close to her and make appearances on her channel quite often. They have a very tight relationship, it seems. Within the past year, Trisha actually bought her mom a house because
Okay.
she's been so successful on her OnlyFans. As far as Trisha's dad goes, it's unclear how often Trisha sees her father in the present time. He currently lives about an hour and a half away from her, but going off of older YouTube videos, Trisha used to make an effort on a monthly basis where she would drive down, hang out with her father, and play poker and spend time with him.
I wouldn't doubt that like he's ashamed of the person that her mother crafted her into, honestly, because What,
My dad's like once a month. I should go down more actually, but he lives about 2 hours away from me, so I just go down, play poker, have breakfast, spend the day together, and it just works out kind of nice. I just really love my dad. My dad's one of my so weird. My dad and I, we were close when I was like a kid, and then like I became a teenager / young adult at 18, and just did not see eye to eye. I felt like he didn't support me. It was just, you guys kind of know the story. I don't know. I just like distanced myself from him.
But it felt like he didn't support you, probably because you wanted to drop out at 16 and you wouldn't do any chores and you weren't doing the homeschooling he was paying for.
I thought he like didn't love me, didn't care about me, and now it's like I just feel like kind of closest to him. And I mean, I know you always go back and forth with family, like who you feel closest with, but
not really. No,
my dad is someone now
typical.
that I think the most close to, because we have, I guess, you know, we're the most spiritual and godly, I think, of our family. We just like to get together and talk about like God and stuff, and not, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I enjoy it. Most of my dad and I have very similar interests when it comes to music and Elvis and movies, and we're just like, I don't know, we're just kind of on the same page a lot of the time, and that's really cool. So, like, I am close to my mom, but my dad and I become like super close, and I'm so happy about that. But
it's unclear if Trisha still makes this kind of effort today, but it seems like they still have a good relationship. And her father is still married to the stepmom that Trisha doesn't get along with. It's even more unclear what happened with Trisha and her brother. Trisha's brother works at a high-profile company, makes good money, and has a very normal life with his wife and child. So what I'm getting ready to tell you as far as their relationship goes is just rumors and specation. I cannot confirm it either way.
It seems like that this kid seems to like emulate the father more, like successful, probably works hard, has like work ethic, and it seems to be a relationship between responsible people and not wanting to be friends with Trisha. And Ethan is an irresponsible person, which makes sense.
So please keep that in mind. I have seen two different scenarios about their relationship. The first scenario is that her brother is extremely embarrassed of her and they rarely talk to each other.
Makes
the
sense.
other scenario that I have seen is that they still have a relationship, but Trisha doesn't mention him very much in order to maintain his privacy. Trisha came
Both
on
of those are
YouTube as
probably
this
true.
bubbly, ditzy blonde that would literally talk about anything. She was different and unique. Trisha reminds me a lot of like the character of Paris Hilton, and I think Trisha took a lot of that through her high school years, because in her book she mentions a lot how she really liked Paris Hilton in The Simple Life. And I'm just talking about like the character, not the behaviors, because Paris Hilton is nothing like Trisha Paytas. I just want to make that crystal clear. But the early version of Trisha online, they play this dumb blonde character with this high-pitched fake voice because it's what people like to see. It's so funny to watch old clips of her compared to very recent clips of her because their voice has completely changed. Check it out.
Welcome to, here it is, finally, everyone's been asking the what's in my purse video.
this is probably my 4th or 5th What's in My Purse, and it is with my Celine Python bag, and I absolutely love it. This is the feature color for fall 2014. I have my phone, and my phone is just the iPhone 6 Plus. Just looks like this, and I think I had that in my last What's My
It's the
Purse.
only time I've ever seen Trisha's makeup look decent.
So just my Balenciaga bag, which I still really love. Okay, hi. All right, are we all over being fucking sensitive pricks here on the internet? Cool, I love that. Birkins, I do use my pink one. It's like over there a lot. I love it. I have a cute little black one. I don't know the names of these, but I love how mini it is.
Although I think Trisha did have a higher pitched voice when she was in high school, I think a majority of it was exaggeration and it was all fake.
sure, yeah.
Slowly through the years, Trisha started using her normal voice and didn't have to fake it anymore. I honestly don't think many people noticed this change in her voice over the years. It's just really interesting to me.
I wish
do see
Hulk Hogan
comments
would give her like a leg drop right now. Whoa,
here and there when I was doing all the research for this video, where if I was on an older video and I looked through the comments, some people would be like, man, what happened to her voice? It's just really interesting to me. Throughout growing up from elementary school to her senior year in high school, Trisha has always played a character that they created. This character was created as a shield to stop bullying and get attention from kids. She would lie, make up stories, and say dumb things to get attention. The Trisha that you see online today is still this character, but the character that you see online today is a lot more dangerous. The lies aren't lighthearted, harmless, white lies. They are.
It's interesting because, you know, I never thought about it, but like after the whole Ethan and her thing happened, right after that, she was showing like bags and shit. Like, oh, bag, like, look at my, hey guys, look at my new bag I have. Look at how much money I've spent. I wonder if like that's her signaling like, hey, I'm better than you. Look at all the money I can spend with like, but we never picked up on it because nobody thinks it's a flex anymore to live outside your means and be like an obnoxious asshole.
Damaging, shocking lies that could potentially ruin other people's lives. Trisha has also become the bullies that she hated in high school. Trisha is obsessive with her online bullying. The minute anyone...
Bro, she bullied Charlie D'Amelio for Charlie D'Amelio. They made like a video where she like didn't want to eat snails because apparently she has an eating disorder. And like, she's like, that's so disrespectful. And because Charlie was like, hey, would it be really cool if I hit 100 million followers on the anniversary of my 1 million in like a totally like non-aggressive tone. It was just like, that'd be cool. And like Trisha melted the fuck down on her.
Mentions them online, they jump on every social media platform that they have and they rip them to shreds. Trisha's tactics to become famous have worked for her. She has gotten the attention that she has craved for years, but at what cost? Why does she feel like she needs to bully and harass others online to be relevant? And why does she feel like she needs to lie and manipulate very serious and traumatic situations to get attention or be accepted by the internet?
I have the answer to that question. Okay, I want you guys to listen. The reason she does those things is because Trisha is a worthless person that was raised by worthless people. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's like the truth. And that's it. Like, she's an asshole, and she burns every bridge, and she doesn't want to have a genuine relationship. And you could say, like, oh, I do it because of my trauma. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, get over it. Like, you are a shitty person, which is why you don't have friends. Like, we can understand things, but to like a certain point. Why do you have no friends? Because you kill every friend you have. You had Ethan was like your fucking biggest cheerleader in a toxic way. Like, he was affirming really shitty behavior from you, but she still managed to burn that bridge. Like, it's your fault. It's her fault. Like, she's 30 something years old. Like, you don't get the excuse anymore of trauma every single time you move a fucking inch. Like, you need to be accountable for yourself. Everybody has trauma. That doesn't mean it justifies you being a shitty person. And Trisha's just a shitty person raised by shitty people, specifically her shitty mother. And funny enough, she's the closest with her mother than instead of her father. Probably because she's a shitty person that attracts, like, that's the only ones. Like, the only reason she's friends with her mother and sister is because they're family. And, like, she's not gonna, like, it's very difficult to break off a family relationship. And they probably affirm her fucking delusional mentality as well, because now Trisha seems to buy the mother things. Like, ironic turn of events, huh?
So buckle up, you guys. We got a lot more to get into. I hope you guys enjoyed this deep dive into Trisha's childhood. I'm very nervous about this video because I know the mental mentality of the internet is to believe all victims and don't question them at all. So it kind of terrifies me to put out this video. But I'm not the only one that has noticed these things about Trisha. Video. But every time anyone questions it, they get attacked. So I really, really hope like all the evidence that I put into this video makes you guys see why I'm so concerned about everything. Before I end this video, though, I do want to read a post that I found on Reddit about someone that was very bothered by Trisha's discrepancies and stories that she was putting online. This person said, I believe fully that this woman is suffering from various mental health issues, and she has a notorious reputation for starting trouble. However, why is it that people think that she can get away with what she does because she's mentally ill? Yes, she does receive backlash to a degree, but why are people flocking to her side as though she is not deserving of the consequences? Here is my issue with it all. People are allowing her behavior because of how much she's been through. Yes, I believe she has trauma. However, I do not think it as much as she claims. Every single episode of Frenemies, a new story of hers emerges, and it's as sad and heart-wrenching.
You know, I know I'm in the middle of this, but it's interesting because I just scrolled down on my chat. I find this interesting because I was saying before about the family dynamic. It seems now that the mom guilts Trisha into doing things. Because, like, oh, well, I mean, maybe that's not true. Maybe Trisha did it out of the kindness of her heart, but she bought her mom, like, a house and stuff. So I wouldn't doubt it, and this is speculation, of course, as much as this is, but I wouldn't doubt it, like, that her mom is a person who uses emotionally manipulative tactics to get things, specifically from the father, which is probably why they divorced. And then she passed that on to Trisha, and Trisha used it on the mom, but now that Trisha's older and has money, the mom does it to her, and that's how they have a house. And sometimes they're not, like, aggressive forms of manipulation. They're just, like, subtle words that you hear. Like, oh, man, I don't have, like, this. Like, oh, man, like, I wish, it's like, I'm a little hungry. And then you go, like, oh, do you want me to buy you, like, a burger? It's like, no, I couldn't ask you. It's like, don't worry about it. It's a burger. You're like, you sure? Are you sure that this idea you came up with is something you want to do? You know what I mean?
As the last, though I believe it's all lies. Maybe she did get held at gunpoint, or maybe she did get her house broken into, and of course she gets threats. It's the stories of the continued kidnapping, abuse. When does it end? I find it highly unlikely one woman that is known for attention-seeking behavior has experienced all of these things in all of her stories. I post a comment saying this in some of the videos, and people flock to me, calling me a monster for victim blaming, but I don't think she's as much of a victim as she claims. I'm just disappointed that people
that guy deserves a fucking award
for getting away with her delusions, and it's not helping her. The people that claim to love her are not helping. And then they went on to say, I know how hard it is to not be believed, and you almost feel like the world is gaslighting you. I'm a survivor of SA, and it's the hardest thing ever. That's why I believe I feel so strongly about her lying about it. Like,
it's funny that the people with the most trauma swear that Trisha is the biggest liar, because Trisha makes victims of trauma feel invalidated. But it's always the people who haven't experienced trauma that agree with Trisha. And I said that before earlier in this video, and lo and behold,
I said before, I do believe that Trisha has went through some trauma in her childhood. I do believe she has went through some trauma in her adulthood as well, but I do not believe that everything that she puts out online is 100% honest. And lying and twisting the truth about certain incidents is hurting a lot of people in the process. I understand the frustration of this person and the fear of speaking up against some of the things that Trisha says online. But in my opinion, she's gone too far with the stories that she is telling, which is a huge reason I am showing you guys everything, and we will get deeper into the people that she hurt in episode 2. I hope this video gives you a good perspective on how the character of Trisha Paytas was born online and how her life molded her into the manipulative, narcissists that we see online today. I appreciate you guys for hearing me out on some of the more serious things I talked about in this video. Episode 2 will be out in a couple weeks, and before we go, I would like to take a second to thank all my members. Thank you to Beyond Help, Jilly C, Starla, Boy Mama, The Dark Magician, Susan, Sam, Phoebes, My Love Floral Foam, Lori, Leah, Stephanie, Lee, Liz, Diana, Claire S, Smiley Mama, Bugsy B, Doublemint, and Ginger Snap Girl. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being members of my channel. And to everyone else, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye, guys.
That was good. I enjoyed that video a lot. I can't wait for part 2. If it's not out already. If it is, I will be reviewing that soon. I don't think that it is. It's not. She said that Trisha put a false claim on her video, though.
That she only... It's my real... No way.
Trisha did that to me, too.
Because her stories always constantly change. The whole thing that...
Trisha's a fucking bitch.